like to bring this study session of Urbana School District 116 to order. Order, please. Thanks for everybody for being here. Roll call, please, Brenda.
Member Hall.
Here.
Member Orr.
Here.
Member Ogalski.
Here.
Member Carter is here. Vice President Exum.
Here.
And President Pulaski.
Here, we do have a few corrections to tonight's agenda. We're going to be moving the district artwork presentation up before citizen statements, and we're going to be moving the administrative reports 8.3 and 8.4 to immediately prior to 11.1. So we're going to be moving those reports into the study topic section. So we'd like to kick off tonight with our art presentation. So Martha, thank you. That's afterwards.
Hi, I'm Martha Charukian. I teach art at Yankee Ridge. I'm also the Elementary Fine Arts Coordinator in Urbana. And this is Kendall Jones. He's a second grader at Yankee Ridge. He did a self-portrait. We learned a little bit about Jean-Michel Basquiat and had some leftover paint. And so we did a self-portrait.
Don't turn this way now.
Okay. Now walk around.
Good job. Gotcha. I think John got to get one too.
Hello. I'd like you to meet Kalani Pearson. She is a kindergartner at King's School. I am Ms. Tavis. I'm the art teacher at King's School. And we had a lot of fun with watercolor paints and color pencil drawing on top. And I really loved her picture. It was just happiness to me.
Kindergarten picture? Come closer. So pretty. Man, that's intricate for a kindergarten.
Hi, I'm Devin Clay. I'm the art teacher at Wiley and Thomas Paine. This is Malcolm Wilson. He's a first grader at Wiley. We worked, you want to go walk around? We worked on figure drawing, and he created a figure drawing of a dancer. We're trying to get away from like those stick figures, learning with circles and ovals. All right, so this is Nora Moody. She's a kindergartner at Thomas Paine. This is When I Feel Happy. So we do an expressionism art lesson, and she drew something that makes her feel happy and then wrote a sentence about it. And it's of her family and her eating ice cream.
All right, I'm Caroline Stewart. I'm the art teacher at Leal. This is an artwork by Edward. He couldn't attend tonight. But for this artwork, the fifth graders did a mural kind of inspired project. They learned some lettering techniques and some street art. And for the project, they chose a word that was powerful to them. And so he chose the word nature, and all the different letters are different elements of nature with a little sea scene here.
Hello, my name is Dineb Bello. I am the art teacher at Dr. Williams Elementary. This was done by Jacqueline Lopez. She's a fourth grader. She was unable to be here, but she created this beautiful watercolor garden. We learned how to make the flowers, but everything else was from her imagination. She did an amazing job.
We currently have an art exhibit at the library, at the Urbana Free Library, of elementary work representing all of our schools. So if you get a chance to run over there, you should check it out. I want to thank International Galleries for their amazing framing. They do it for us every year, and it's really lovely. So this is my last time here. So as usual, it's become a tradition. I made a little movie, so I don't have to talk. So I was a little nostalgic this year. So here's the movie, John.
In 1972, I started teaching in the district as a music teacher at Wiley. And I had a few years, well, in 1975, they cut the program completely. And so there was a bit of bitterness there that lasted for a while. And then I started to become a pioneer kind of for music and the arts in general. A curriculum came right straight out of a 1985 ISB arts grant. I think it was Evanston was the only school district in the state that offered any kind of dance or drama as a specialist taught, and us. And so, you know, that was pretty cool. And nationwide, it was not common either. That was a personal thing of mine, that there would be music and visual arts and dance and drama. By the time we finally got the specialists, people were, you know, pretty much ready.
I was working at the Arts Education Research Institute with Barbara McGee, and we were in our little office, closeted in, doing research. And she said she had seen an article in the News Gazette about Urbana starting a fine arts program, and that they looking for teachers in all the arts disciplines. And I thought, well, I guess I should apply. I do have a teaching certificate.
There really wasn't much of a budget, because it was just starting. We were art in a cart. We had 2 classes at once. It was kind of scary for a first-year teacher.
Being on the fine arts team was as close to being a rock star as I am ever going to get. I don't sing, I don't play an instrument, but for our kids who hadn't had art in the schools, every day pushing that art cart filled with magical art supplies into the classroom, I'd always get rushed.
It was very process oriented, so that you taught the kids about music, about different kinds of music.
The 6-week block helped us in a lot of ways. I think just overall, because we were consistently with a group of kids for 6 weeks, we knew them better, they knew us. We weren't just somebody who was flitting into their lives for once a week, and then by the time the next week rolled around, they forgot who we were. So we were able to build some consistency.
I remember what Sarah Cardiff said. She said that when the program first started, the very first year, and she would put work up in the halls, that it was almost impossible to tell the difference between the kindergarten work and the 6th grade work. I don't know how many years it took, but not very many, before the developmental stages, started showing, and that was exciting. And I would say that was true in the other arts as well.
And I came in this year, and there's ukuleles, and there's all sorts of ballad instruments, and all sorts of little drum instruments and rhythm instruments, and the kids can be more active. And there's only 1 class per room, which should be the way it should be.
Through the years, I've stayed in touch with many of the students first impacted by the fine arts team. And some of them have gone on to be art teachers, artists, art professionals, but all of the students were more creative because of Urbana's commitment to the arts.
So we've been going for 33 years, and I hope we go for more than that in the future. So thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, the board, for supporting us and for having us in our schools and teaching our students.
So don't get up.
Yep.
Sorry, I'm rushing up here, if that's okay for just a second. Well, because Martha and I started the same year, and I just can't say enough about how she has dedicated so much of her life to the children, and she is such a hard worker and been an amazing coordinator for our fine arts team. And I love her deeply, and I just think we need to give her a big, huge recognition.
Don't go. So Paul's probably going to say this too, but I just wanted to say, I know that was very nostalgic for me. I saw kids in there who were like grown-ups now, that I remember them from here, and all the teachers. So I want to say thank you, and I'm not going to cry, so you don't cry either. But we love you, Martha. Thank you for, did you guys see Skinny Martha, like 20-year-old Martha in the video? Thank you for giving your heart and soul and all of you to Urbana School District. It just means so much to us, And I don't know how to say thank you. I'd come over there and give you a hug, but I'll give you a hug later when we have the retirement party. But thank you, Maggie, for coming up. But thank you, Martha. You have just been a great partner, a great thought partner, just a perfect sounding board for the arts for me over the years. And we just love you, and we wish you all the best.
Thank you. Thank you, John.
I can't possibly top that, but I just want to express a personal thank you for spending time with all of my kids and dedicating your career to the kids of this community despite the challenges they bring with them into our buildings. You love them. You've given them so much hope. You've given them so many skills, and you've improved their lives, and you've dedicated your career to this community. We cannot possibly thank you enough.
Well, I haven't done it by myself. There's a whole team of fine arts teachers. It's 15 of us now, and I cut it from the dialogue, but we started with 9, and now we have 15.
Moving on to citizen statements. First up is Kenita Fay.
Hi, can you hear me? Okay. Hi, board. Hi, admin team. What a great day. I'm not gonna ruin your party, so. So, my name is Kenita Fay, and I would like to make a statement addressing a couple of ongoing issues to our current board and our incoming board members. But before I start, I would like to take this opportunity to thank everyone in this room and those who are watching at home. You are involved because you care. And to the admin team, we never really address you, but many of us want you to know that regardless of where you live, we welcome you. We never want you to feel that you are not welcome in the district. We don't know your life story. We're not going to judge where you live, but as long as you work every day to make our student life better, we appreciate you. So now that we get that out of the way, I would like to address some issue moving forward. First, to the board and district. Many community members share that they would like to have more background information, and they want you to please address misinformation during the meeting. Folks expressed that they would like to see more background information and progress of our school projects available prominently on the district website. Perhaps it can be shared periodically via email or social media. For example, many people, especially new families, with young folks and staff, do not know that our school renovation process is supposed to be a good thing, started back in 2016. So to our new family folks, or folks who are not following very closely, it's kind of a little bit surprised and a little bit much to learn at one time. So we know that the district doesn't address like rumors and things, but if you hear misinformation, we ask that you please direct any misinformation during the board communication or admin feedback to get the record straight, because that's what they do at the city council meetings. That would allow public to learn as they listen to you all. It takes a village to battle misinformation. That is 2023 for you. Second, to our community, we say as we celebrate amazing thing in Urbana here, let's take the moment to build a practice of civility and ability to talk to each other. We all are good people, we're passionate and we mean well. However, it does matter how we treat each other. Nobody's perfect, but we hope that we can choose a path that our students can follow. If today we yell and attack each other in person or social media, tomorrow what will keep our students from doing the same thing to their teachers? Civility that sounds like old-fashioned, but it works. In 2010, the citizen group was frustrated, about certain situation, but we redirected our energy to work towards something that benefits the district as a whole. We successfully recommended the board to build a brand new facility for our early childhood students. It did not directly benefit Wiley students at that time, but it was the right thing to do. Next item that a lot of people asked for me to share with you guys is that as the Wiley community is forming, let's focus on Urbana students. Sometimes as a community, we disagree, but we hope that the committee will be focusing on Urbana students. The notion that one elementary school is better than another is not helping our students at all. Urbana school provide a unique opportunity for students to learn from each other. The ability to adapt and connect with students from different backgrounds in this seem to be the key success factor to student academic and happiness. In my humble opinion, the best way to preserve Wiley legacy is to provide positive and long-lasting support for all students. Wiley is a legacy of amazing principals, teachers, staff, students, and parents since 1952. And that legacy belongs to all of us and those who came before us. In closing, I'm sorry, I'm the only one here. Can I finish my paragraph? Okay, sure. In closing, many thanks to everyone for your passion. Let's make our effort count. To our current board, congratulations. Collectively, as a group, you have approved many necessary items. The last week item might be the most important one. As you were aware, the board's top priority is to recruit and retain superintendent, and you did. Ooh. In case you did not know, Dr. Ivory Tatum is a well-respected superintendent across the county. And to Dr. Ivory Tatum, thank you for agreeing to serve. We cannot go through what we're going through at high school, not at the district level. No, don't leave us. We hope that the next board will lead by example, meaning focusing on all Urbana students, encouraging civility, informing the public, fighting misinformation, and supporting our superintendent and her team. Thank you and good night.
Thank you, Kenita. Next up is Rob Bennett. If anybody else would like to address the board, please fill out a Golden Rob form in the back of the room and hand it to our recording secretary, Lori Johnson.
It's kind of an awkward angle because I have folks both in front of me and behind me to address, but I just wanted to say a special thank you to all of our departing members Hall and Carter, Member Orr, Member Ogalski. Thank you so much for your service. And for all of our incoming board members, thanks for running. This is a really wonderful thing you've done for your community, and we are very much looking forward to meeting all of you and working with you in the future. And thanks for doing this for Urbana.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Bennett. Next up is Ephraim Tutwiler.
Okay, so to kind of build a little bit more off of kind of what Rob was saying, I know that for those of you that are exiting, we appreciate what you're doing. I know sometimes it seems like a thankless job because all you hear is people yelling at you. Sometimes, there are good points to this, and we appreciate your service. I look forward to what you guys do in the community in the future. And to the upcoming board, I look forward to working with you guys to see how we can continue the legacy that is here in Urbana. I look forward to speaking with you guys. I just have a plea to ask for more transparency and more conversations with the public so that we can help build more bridges instead of, because at the end of the day, you know, you're not there to hear everything that's said. And if you want more people to fight for you and to continue to build up what's there, I really think that having more conversations will definitely build more bridges for where we're at now.
Thank you very much. Hey, one last call for citizen statements. All right. There will not be a call for an executive session after tonight's meeting. The chair would then seek a motion to approve tonight's agenda as amended.
So moved.
Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Our our student ambassadors are probably studying tonight. Yeah, busy week. So moving on, we have our Arbor Food Management end of year presentation.
Are you going to be able to see us with the? Yeah.
We've got Jonathan, our food service director, Jeff, Christina, and Kathy here from Arbor to present the end of your presentation tonight.
Thank you. Good evening. Thank you for. Okay. We are here tonight to present our end of year presentation. Okay, I thought I had to keep hold. Do you want me to start over? Okay. Thank you. I'm just thank you. So we just felt it was important to have the whole leadership team here. I know that Jonathan, the food service director, he's been with us from the beginning of the contract in 2019. He does a phenomenal job at making sure that things go well in the district. I realize that there have been some concerns and some issues, mainly, to be very transparent and honest, is because of our staffing situation. It's been very difficult to find employees. When we did come in 2019-20, we started out great, and then COVID hit our first year in. So as you'll see in the presentation, we've had different service styles throughout the 4 years that we've been here to contend with. But Jonathan and his team do a great job, and he's a community member, and I know that he takes a lot of pride in his position. So, and then Christina is our district manager here. She is oversees Jonathan and his team, so she is here as well. Next one, thanks. As far as our values, again, we are the current food service provider, so some of the board members, you're already aware of us, and we do present each year, but we do value integrity, our innovation, our commitment, and our wellness to the students and to the district. So part of our core mission is nutrition education, encouragement for a healthy lifestyle, and also inventive marketing and merchandising, and environmental responsibility and sustainability. And then I don't know, Christina, if you wanted to talk a little bit about, and Jonathan, a little bit about our local purchasing and things that we do within the community.
So our focus is to purchase as locally as possible. And so with that, we have, organic items that we do purchase. We follow a DOD program that's part of your commodities program that does come directly from Urbana's produce company, Vermilion Valley. It's also known as What Chefs Want or Central Illinois Produce. It's changed names and combined and all kinds of things over the years. So those are some of the items that we purchase locally. We take pride in the high standards, and we really do want to adhere to all the nutritional standards through ISB and things of that nature. So we do work very hard to make sure that we're providing the food and we're meeting all of the standards. So some of the local purchasing that we have, like I mentioned, we do get stuff from Urbana with the Vermilion Valley produce. We also opted for fresh bread over frozen bread because we thought it was a better product for the children, and it was more nutritional, and it just tastes better, right? So we do get that from Champaign, from Alpha Baking, and we can get that up to 4 times per week. So it's constantly coming in, we're constantly rotating and having fresh product. We also get our milk from Prairie Farms right here in Urbana as well, so that comes from there. And then we get our dry and our frozen goods from Montgomery 2 times a week, Illinois. Those are our 4 main distributors, sorry.
And as far as commodities, not to bore everybody with the regulations, every food service management company is required to use a certain percentage of the district's allocation of commodities. Therefore, some of the menu items consist of those type of commodity items, whether it's diverted into a product or it's the actual product itself. We are required, and every management company required to use at least 85% of that commodity. And again, with the commodities, you'll see that there are other local areas, I have my glasses on, that we do get our commodity products through different distributors that we partner with.
These are examples of some of those diverted products that Kathy had mentioned. So what this is they take whole products and put them into manufactured products. So such as the potatoes, that's where we get all of our French fries from. So they'll make French fries for us. You know, mozzarella cheese, it goes on our pizzas, and shredded cheese and stuff like that that we use for all the students. So this is how we utilize those products and those dollars for those commodity dollars. We've chosen to get manufacturers that are in the Midwest to try to keep it as local as possible.
As far as the menu focus at Urbana, we do have a wide variety of fresh fruit, nutrient foods. Fresh fruit and vegetables are locally sourced. And then also all of our menus have cage-free poultry with no added hormones or steroids. And then fresh whole and multigrain breads, as Christina was mentioning about the Alpha Bakery. And then all of our milk is either no fat or 1%, so that students have an option based on their preference as far as the milk goes.
This is, we put some examples of some current menus. I know there's been some concern about different things, and so we're trying to address that. These are our breakfast menus for the middle school and the elementary school. It's grab and go. So we are limited to some of the items that we can offer in breakfast in the classroom for the elementary schools. It does make it a little bit more sugar forward, which we've heard, mentioned. The requirement is to offer grain-based and grain-forward items at breakfast through ISB. We can offer some more protein-based, so that's some of the areas that we're looking to go to. But this is just an example of a menu for the elementary schools. So you guys are seeing they're getting grains, they're getting fruits, they're getting juice, and they're getting milk daily in their classrooms. These are also offered as part of the grab and go. We have some items that are protein forward, such as egg and cheese muffin, and we're going to continue to develop that for next year. This is an elementary menu. I know it has been brought to our attention that they didn't have varieties, so we offer 4 options a day for the students. For those that don't know that, we have 2 vegetarian options daily, and then we have a rotating Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday option, and then we have an everyday rotating option, which we call our comfort item. So there are 4 options every day at the elementary school currently. Going forward into next year, we're going to look forward to less sugar, more protein-based. I've been working with the dietitian to work on some menu development and things like that. We're talking about pre-packing hard-boiled eggs, string cheese, things of that nature. It's been brought to my attention that string cheese is very popular with the students. We're also working with blenderless smoothies or smoothie bowls. We're trying to figure out how to package those so that we can get them to the classroom safely without wasting spillage and things of that nature. For lunch, to add more variety, like some of those sandwiches and those salads that we're offering, instead of offering a steady salad or sandwich, we're talking about rotating those. So like on Mondays, you may have a turkey and cheese and a crispy chicken salad, and Tuesday you have something else. So we're still offering 4 items a day, but adding in more variety for those students. This is the current Urbana Middle School menu. They have 6 options a day, so they have 2 varieties of pizza. They have chicken sandwiches. Then they have, at the bottom you'll see there's a garden spot and a deli express, and that's a salad and a sandwich every day. And then we have a comfort item daily. So some of the items that we thought about here is, again, less sugar, more protein for the students. Again, hard-boiled eggs, blenderless smoothies. We do want to recipe test students for acceptability for some items such as overnight oats and cottage cheese with peaches or with other fruits that we may be able to add to them. And we'd like to incorporate in the middle school menu some more hot breakfast items too, so that they can get that more protein forward items. We're also talking about adding some lunch varieties such as a sandwich and a salad station kind of area, so it's more of a rotating station so that they get some more variety. Add some more vegetarian options for some of the students, additional hot sandwiches, so some of those things are, instead of just a crispy chicken sandwich, maybe it's a spicy chicken sandwich or a grilled chicken sandwich or something like that. And then add some more variety into their pizza. Even though sausage and cheese pizza seem to be their favorites, maybe we can, you know, get their taste buds going a little bit and do some taco pizza or veggie pizza, or I think we even have a buffalo chicken pizza that they might like, you know. So, and then we're going to incorporate nachos daily, where it can be different varieties of nachos. So it could be chicken, it could be beef, it could be black beans. So the high school breakfast menu, it is a hot menu, so you'll see that a majority of these items are protein forward because they are hot. You'll see that. This is what we're offering daily right now at the high school. And this is the lunch menu. They have 8 to 10 options a day at the high school currently, with varieties of pizzas, sandwiches, salads. They have a deli station where they can make their own sandwiches made to order. And then we have a comfort item every day as well. This is kind of what we're looking for after seeing some of the results from the survey, is that we're looking forward to some new breakfast additions. We'd like to add some yogurt parfaits for the students. The Hakuna Matata frittata, if any of you guys had a chance to try the frittata that we brought in today, that's an actual item that we want to add onto the menu for the students. We brought items that we want to incorporate into the menu, so you guys could see what we're actually looking forward to do. There's also a smoothie bowl, and again, we're going to recipe test for students for acceptability, that overnight oats and the cottage cheese. We have a weekly rotating bars. This is something new that I want to try next year, so that way the students can have more variety, but it'll be deconstructed. So we may have a piece or two, you know, a pasta or two with several sauces, so that they can make it into what they want to make it into, whether it's a vegetarian or it's a meat-based sauce or something of that nature. Baked potato bar, taco nachos, so stuff like that. I knew that the survey had mentioned something about a mac and cheese bar, so we're working on creating some recipes for that and some toppings for them and things like that in our menu development. We also are going to try and make a salad addition to the sandwich bar. So what that means is they can get either a made-to-order deli sandwich or a made-to-order salad. We do know that that line takes a while for the students to come through, so we will still make pre-made ones that the students can top on their own as well, so that they can do a more grab-and-go style as well if it's too long of a line. We do have fruit and veggie bars at the high schools and the middle school every day. And these are some of our scratch-made signature dishes and some items that we may incorporate into the menu as well. Dr. Prager's is our plant-based company that we utilize for all of it's our partnership that we have with them for plant-based items.
And moving forward, just to talk a little bit about that, moving forward next year, it's required to offer a plant-based item every day. So that is why we're speaking of the plant-based, and we are developing recipes as we speak with some plant-based items that aren't just eat and serve, but actually recipe-based, plant-based menu items. And then Jonathan, I don't know if you'd like to talk about some of the catering opportunities or things that you may have done. Oh yeah, we gotta start.
We do have opportunities for catering events through food service. We recently did one with the Mentor program. It was very successful. It was a taco bar. It was a nacho bar, kind of taco bowl bar. It was very well received. We had roasted corn and black bean salsa. We had different types of meats, meat and chicken. We had a homemade pico de gallo and a lot of other toppings. And it went very well, very nice setup, and for some very nice people. We had a great time doing it. We've also doing some end of the year events for teachers that are retiring or leaving the district. We recently did some catering for people that needed snacks for testing. And that worked out well. We were able to buy them bulk at discount prices for them to use for snacks during the testing program. And we have some other end of the year caterings we're looking forward to. But we're always open to more, and we're looking forward to building more of a catering relationship with the district in years to come.
Thank you.
One thing I'd like to mention, I'm Jeff Krause, by the way, Vice President of Sales for the company. I can remember sitting here 4 years ago and being very excited about Arbor having the opportunity to come to Urbana and to provide meals to the students here. And one of the things that was told to me was that what the district really wanted to see was more corporate support. And I can remember being here with Kathy and Christina and Jonathan, along with other members of our leadership team. And we all came down, and I believe it was probably about 3 months of back and forth and just making sure that the transition went smooth and really put a lot of the heart and soul of our company into Urbana, especially from the get-go. And then when, COVID hit, kind of threw everything for a loop. But I do want to say, at least from my standpoint and speaking for everybody here, that we really have wanted the best for the Urbana students all along and from the very beginning. And that is the absolute truth. So I just wanted to at least say that. And Jonathan and his team have done an amazing job, from what I've seen, maneuvering through everything that has gone on over the past few years, that any district, whether it's you or any other district that has had these challenges with COVID, and made it through successfully. So that's the only thing I just at least wanted to throw out there. But okay, sorry, go ahead.
Okay, so going back one slide, thank you. I just wanted to highlight on when, like I started to mention earlier, when we were awarded the account in 2019, we got halfway through the year and then COVID hit. So then we quickly were able to change the process, as most school districts in all of Illinois that we've provided food service to. We figured out ways to get the meals to the students, whether it be curbside pickup, drop-off, buses. So we were able to do that and get those meals to it. And of course, the district was a big part of that. And we worked together to determine what's the best way. And it kept evolving from there as far as how we can get more meals to more students. So going into 2021, we all know that things were not the same. There, I believe we were still doing curbside meals. We did not have the students that were in it was invite-only in-person learning. We did pick up at school locations, and small amounts of the middle and high schools were getting bagged meals. So it wasn't our typical menu, but it was meals getting there regardless. But the participation obviously has been very skewed through the years just because of the different service styles. In 2020, 21-22, remote was not optional, but there were students with medical certifications that were allowed to stay home. So that, of course, we weren't providing the meals to those students. And students that were in school, participation was still down about a third. And it was a very limited menu as far as because there was non-congregate gathering, so we didn't have the cafeteria lines open necessarily. So we had to make sure that we were able to provide food that would go to different parts of the schools and different parts of the buildings. Therefore, changing what we would have normally been offering. And then, of course, coming into this year, returning more back to normal, then the issues that for us is the staffing. Once COVID hit and we lost half the staff, we weren't able to get them back. And then competing with, a lot of the restaurants in the area that are paying $15 or $16 an hour. And even the district itself we're all looking for the same pool of employees for that $15 an hour mark. So it was difficult to find staff. The next slide, it just basically shows a little bit of our participation based on student attendance. The student attendance was taken off the Illinois report card. We did kind of go back and forth a little bit with Katie to make sure that we were giving accurate information. But as you can see, during COVID, that participation dropped through the years. And then going into lunch as well, starting out before March, we were, neck and neck with what Aramark was, participation was at the beginning. And then this year we've been working towards getting that participation level up. I don't know if you want to talk about that or
We have had promotions for the students and things of that nature. So we've done, there's a flyer that we had for the students where we did strawberry milk because Prairie Farms was finally making strawberry milk again, and it's one of the students' favorites. And so we made sure we brought strawberry milk in for Valentine's Day, right? We also made sure we celebrated National School Breakfast Week, trying to promote breakfast and things of that nature. So those are some of the things that we've done. And then future promotion ideas, there's something called Lucky Tray Days where the kids get to win little prizes if they have a sticker on the bottom of their tray. They get very, very excited about this, and we typically see increased participation when they know that Lucky Tray Day is coming. And then we want to do some type of raffles at the middle school. It's very funny that they do participate, I know. But then they have one that we want to do at the middle school, high school level is to do like raffle cards and things like that. You participate in school breakfast or you participate in lunch for a whole week, and then we'll draw your name and we'll give out Amazon gift cards or gas cards or something like that for the students. That tends to increase participation as well. So we do find that these promos do increase participation, so it's something that we want to get back into the swing of doing. Jonathan, you can talk about that.
I just wanted to highlight real quick a couple of our Arbor partnership highlights, working within the Urbana community for the betterment of the school district. I am a member of the Wellness Committee, and we've been meeting again this year, and I think we've had some very, very successful meetings, and I think we're building towards something really good there. The Farm to School meetings, I'm a member of the Farm to School Committee. Also on that one, it's been challenging. There's a lot of red tape and things we need to work around, but they have been very creative and very persistent, and I think we're working towards some great things there that we can use within the district. Catering events, like I said, we're always happy to work with catering. We're doing several end-of-the-year events, but we do like getting out, getting different locations and providing catering. And I plan on being part of the menu advisory team. I know we were talking about the Wellness Committee, and I look forward to that. There are a lot of people on the Wellness Committee that are very interested in what's going on in food service. It seems to be a big focus, and I look forward to being helpful there and working with the people and doing great things.
And one other thing, as you may or may not be aware of, this year was the first time that Illinois was allowed to no longer choose a low bid type of situation. Now they have an RFP process in place where the RFP can be utilized with specific criteria and it's no longer a low bid state, which is great. Along with that comes the RFP process, and I know that in speaking to the administration a couple weeks ago, kind of explaining how that would work, and in terms of the one-year contract this year, obviously it opens up to competition, and whatever the board decides, then that's the way it will be. But when you make a change, if there is a change that's made, obviously the transition would need to be considered for just the employees and the department. Next year, with the one-year contract, it would allow an RFP to be done, whether we're chosen or not. Next year, you would have the opportunity to write that RFP and go ahead and choose your vendor that way as well. So it may end up being 2 years in a row you change, but it's at least that process is there for you to utilize and to make your program whatever it is that you want it to be within that document. So, but certainly just wanted to kind of reiterate what that one-year contract is.
Passing the microphone. The last area, because I know you have a full meeting tonight, the last area that we wanted to talk about because of the staffing, that has, again, been a hot topic. I know that we're working with the district to credit back some of that labor. But we have worked tirelessly to find staff. We do have an incentive referral program that used to be $100. We changed that a long time ago to $200. If anybody, whether it's somebody within the district or any person, it doesn't have to be one of our employees, if they refer an employee, then they get a referral bonus of $200 for referring that employee. Obviously, we've done all the normal items, hiring, signs, asked the district to post it on their websites, flyers. I think Juan, our assistant, he actually went to the bus depot and stood out there with flyers trying to get staff. And again, we're all kind of looking for the same pool of employees that are looking to work part-time. We've even worked with the temp agency. We've had 8 or 10 temps working here throughout the year, and we're obviously paying double, if not triple, for that. But it's important to us to make sure that we can get as many employees here to serve the students. And we're just proactively in 2022, we did proactively increase the wages. We didn't wait till it was minimum wage. In January, we started them at the 13 an hour. And part of our 1 year is to make sure that we can bring them in at a higher rate from the day one and not waiting for the minimum wage change so that we can attract more employees. And then, of course, we have a training program that we go through, but I really just wanted to talk about the talent investment. So that's really what we have. We thank you for your time. I know that it's, like Jeff said, whatever decision is made, we'll understand that, but we enjoy working with Urbana School District.
Thank you very much. Board members, any questions or comments? All right, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I appreciate you bringing the data. I know Member Olgalski specifically asked for that last year, and you worked hard to make that happen. So thank you so much.
Well, thanks for your help with that, too. You're welcome. Now, the food is going to be left there, so you can help yourself to any of the food that is over there. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Oh, yes, my purse. I wouldn't get far. Thank you. And it's stuck in, yeah. Way to go, Kathy. Thank you.
All right, we're up now to our action items. Action item number 1 is our emergency food service contract. So, Katie, any background info you'd like to go over first?
The contract with our existing food service management company expires on July 31st, 2023. Over the winter, the current food service management company indicated that the contracted meal rates were not keeping up with the increasing costs of food and wages, and the district agreed to a mid-year rate increase in February of 2023. While the contract is eligible for renewal, the food service management company chose instead to offer the district a one-year non-competitive procurement contract in order to increase meal rates beyond what the CPI renewal rate calculations will allow. The non-competitive procurement method outlined in the state statute can be utilized with ISB's approval when warranted by current market conditions, local needs, market industry instability, and labor and supply chain disruptions. A non-competitive procurement contract cannot be renewed for the following year. For proper due diligence, we invited two other food service management companies, Aramark and Quest Food Management Services, to submit one-year non-competitive procurement contract proposals as well. Each food service company brings a unique set of experiences and strengths, which staff weighed against our interest in a variety of factors, including elevating food quality, increasing variety, raising meal participation rates, student involvement in menu planning, utilization of local producers, maintaining full staffing levels, and operational effectiveness. Staff facilitated board presentations, performed site visits, called references, received community feedback, and analyzed the financial implications. With that, staff is recommending with great excitement that the Board of Education approve a non-competitive procurement contract with Quest Food Management Services for August 1st, 2023 through June 30th, 2024. The contract is a $3,139,405 proposal, which will be covered in its entirety by the federal meal reimbursement rates, which is funding that the district receives into our nonprofit food service account. In order to meet the unique needs of Urbana School District, Quest will add a full-time executive chef and a full-time dietitian dedicated to Urbana's program as additions to the current staffing structure. This contract also includes increasing the starting wages for all employees in the food service management operations to $15 an hour. We look forward to this opportunity to partner with Quest Food Management Services in the coming year with the board's approval.
Board, is there a motion?
So moved. Second.
So this is, again, this is a motion to accept the district's recommendation of Quest for the one-year non-competitive bid. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Any further comments or discussion by the board? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Member Hasanadka?
Yes.
Member Hall?
Yes.
Member Orr?
Yes.
Member Ogalski?
Yes.
Member Carter votes yes. Vice President Exum?
Yes.
And President Pulaski?
Yes, motion passes. Action item 9.2 is to accept the certified election results of the April 4th, 2023 certified election, which were received from us from the county clerk, I think last week. Quickly, I guess, go over them. All races were unopposed. In Sub-District 1, Sidlali Stanton won with 218 votes. In Sub-District 2, Robbie won with 411 votes. In Sub-District 6, Tori won with 149 votes. In Sub-District 3, Sherry Langendorf won with 473 votes. There was no candidate. In Sub-District 4, in Sub-District 5, I won with 576 votes, and in Sub-District 7, Benjamin Baxley won with 154 votes. Is there a motion to accept the certified results from the county clerk?
I move to accept.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further comments or discussion? Roll call, please.
Member Hasanadka?
Yes.
Member Hall?
Yes.
Member Orr?
Yes.
Member Ogalski?
Yes.
Member Carter votes yes. Vice President Exum?
Yes.
And President Pulaski?
Yes. So now is when we call, and then forgive my Latin, board needs to have a motion to, it's called adjourn sine die. Is that how you say it? Signed die? Okay. So we're adjourning for the last time.
Indefinitely.
Indefinitely. This
Adjourning
board is coming to an end. Is there a motion?
So moved. Second.
You're a little too excited.
Any further comments or discussion? Roll call, please.
Member Hassanatkin.
Yes.
Member Hall.
Yes.
Member Orr.
Yes.
Member Ogalski.
Yes.
Member Carter votes yes. Vice President Exum.
Yes.
And President Pulaski.
Yes, thank you all for your service.
Thank
It's
you.
very, very much appreciated.
Wait, before you leave your spaces, we of course want to acknowledge your service. And then we'll have you maybe in order of years. We of course want you to take your lovely name plaque and hang it somewhere in your home for prosperity to remember us on Tuesday nights when we're sitting here for hours and hours. So we're going to start with Brenda Carter, board member since 2007, 16 years of service. Brenda. You might want to grab all your stuff too, because you probably won't go back. Just we'll do it all at once. So Brenda has, I don't know how, I should have looked this up, how many terms of secretary or pro tem? Okay. And she definitely has been our IASB delegate for many, many years as well. Brenda, do you want to say anything?
Just thank you. It's been a pleasure working with everyone. And I'm looking forward to free Tuesday nights. So thank you.
Brenda, for your 16 years of Next is Ann Hall. Do you want to say something before you get up? Maybe that will work better.
Thank you for letting me stay here for so many years, and I tried to follow the campfire rule of leaving the place in a better position than when I found it. I don't know if I succeeded, but I tried, and I hope that everybody who comes on board learns as much about the district and themselves as I have, and I've just loved serving with all you guys. I'm going to miss you, kind of sometimes. But anyway, thanks for all the great years of work.
And Ann has 8 years of service, and her plaque looks a little different because she's actually served as a board president, vice president, and board member. So thank you, Ann. Drop your stuff.
Thank you, everybody.
Yes, so don't run off. Oh, okay. Don't run too fast. Run. Okay, next, in order of years, we have Laura Orr, who's been with us for the last 2 years. So, Laura, you have anything you want to say before you come up?
It's been a wild ride, so I wish the new board members well, and hone those listening skills, and good luck. And I don't know, I've learned a lot, so thank you for letting me serve, and I'll still be around.
Oh, yeah. Brian, who stepped in when Member Dimmitt left us and has done a great job for the almost 2 years. So Brian Ogowski.
Hey, thank you for letting me serve with all of you. It's been probably almost 2 of the most interesting years of my life, for sure. I have learned more about this community than I ever knew, and I'm really thrilled that I had this opportunity. For the new board members, we have a lot of momentum going right now. There are a lot of people who want to help. Embrace them with open arms, every one of them, because this job is really hard to do by yourself. So bring them in, listen to them, call them, email them, and there's a lot of willing people out there. I also want to say a thanks to Lori Johnson. She's just, her organizational skills, she does not say, we don't hear a lot from her up here. She's the machine that makes this thing go. And it's all Lori tonight. Yes. It has been so wonderful to get to know you. It's been great. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. Now, you notice you're not trying to genderize this, but we thought Brian might appreciate a gift card instead of. We're going to share a lot. Okay. Lori wants to take a quick photo before we do the oath. And then we need, well, why don't you guys stay there and we have Sid Lally and Ben come up. Does that make sense? And I can do it I'll do that part from here. Or would you rather, does that work? Will you guys come out here and I'll switch? Oh, Brian. I kept your gift card. You're only paying me you did for being on board. They're coming out. You guys can share them. All right. It's D-Day. Okay, I'll go back here.
You didn't get them?
Anymore?
Second. She's got more. Oh, here they are. You're right. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah. We can share it either way. Yeah, they should surprise. Yeah, it's a long. Yeah. They're really excited.
Okay.
Oh, you're right.
So Paul, does one of the admin team need to do the 10.1 and make?
It's been 10 years since we've done this way. I think that you just go ahead.
I just will do it, yeah.
And swear
You
us
ready?
in.
Okay. So just for the public, normally the president would be doing this. 10.1 basically means we would kind of appoint someone just for this process. But since all of our board members are being invited on at the same time, I get the privilege of doing this. How fun. All right, so are we ready? So we are, our board policy, 10.80, the board member oath and conduct. You will say your name, and I think if we just say it all together, that would be great. So, ready? I do solemnly swear that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of member of the Board of Education of Urbana School District Number 116,
of the office of member of the Board of Education of Urbana School District Number 116,
in accordance with the Constitution of the United States,
in accordance with the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and the laws of the State of Illinois,
and the laws of the State of Illinois,
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
I further swear or affirm that
I further swear that
I shall respect taxpayer interests
I shall respect taxpayer interests
by serving as a faithful protector
by serving as a faithful protector
of the school district's assets.
of the school district's assets.
I shall encourage and respect
I shall encourage and respect
the free expression of opinion by my fellow board members
the free expression of opinion by my fellow board members
and others who seek a hearing before the board,
and others who seek a hearing before the board,
while respecting the privacy of students and employees.
while respecting the privacy of students and employees.
I shall recognize that a board member has no legal authority
I shall recognize that a board member has no legal authority
as an individual,
as an individual,
and that decisions can be made only by a majority vote
and that decisions can be made only by a majority vote
at a public meeting.
at a public board meeting.
Public board meeting, sorry. I shall abide by majority decisions of the board
I shall abide by majority decisions of the board
while retaining the right to seek changes in such decisions
while retaining the right to seek changes in such decisions
through ethical and constructive channels.
through ethical and constructive channels.
As part of the Board of Education,
As part of the Board of Education,
I shall accept the responsibility for my role
I shall accept the responsibility for my role
in the equitable and quality education of every student
in the equitable and quality education of every student
in the school district.
in the school district.
I shall foster with the board
I shall foster with the board
extensive participation of the community,
extensive participation of the community,
formulate goals, define outcomes,
formulate goals, define outcomes,
and set the course for Urbana School District Number 116.
and set the course for Urbana School District Number 116.
I shall assist in establishing a structure
I shall assist in establishing a structure
and an environment designed to ensure all students
and an environment designed to ensure all students
have the opportunity to attain their maximum potential
have the opportunity to attain their maximum potential
through a sound organizational framework.
through a sound organizational framework.
I shall strive to ensure
I shall strive to ensure
a continuous assessment of student achievement
a continuous assessment of student achievement
and all conditions affecting the education of our children
and all conditions affecting the education of our children
in compliance with state law.
in compliance with state law.
I shall serve as education's key advocate
I shall serve as education's key advocate
on behalf of students and our community schools
on behalf of students and our community schools
to advance the vision for Urbana School District Number 116.
to advance the vision of Urbana School District Number 116.
And I shall strive to work together
And I shall strive to work together
with the district superintendent
with the district superintendent
to lead the school district
to lead the school district
toward fulfilling the vision of the board has created,
toward fulfilling the vision the board has created,
fostering excellence for every student
fostering excellence for every student
in the areas of academic skills,
in the areas of academic skills,
knowledge,
knowledge,
citizenship,
citizenship,
and personal development.
and personal development.
Ooh, congratulations. We will invite you to, you're supposed to just take any seat, because technically right now we do not have a president or a vice president, but Lori has already placed names, so I think you should just go wherever your name is. We are now at 10.3, and we've done the oath and the conduct, and I think at this point we need a roll call to accept it, correct? Oops. Without a secretary pro temp, okay. So we can just move to terms of office. You just have secretary. That's what I was trying to
That's
say
right.
earlier.
We have to select a secretary pro temp first, so.
Get comfortable.
It's just for the purpose of the rest of this meeting, does somebody wish to serve as our secretary pro tem, just, for the next 5 minutes?
I can do 5 minutes.
Okay.
So Tori, all in favor? That Tori will serve as secretary pro tem
So-
for the next 5 minutes?
Okay.
Aye.
Aye.
10.4.
All right, so.
Well, first we need a roll call
Yeah, yeah.
to accept the oath and the conduct.
Okay, so, Member Hasanatka,
Yes.
Member Stanton, Member Baxley,
There you go.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Did you say yes?
Yes.
Okay, Member Baxley,
Yes.
Member Langendorf,
Yes.
Member Exum votes yes, Member Pulaski,
Yes.
all right. Moving on to 10.4, term of office
So-
for,
So I move that the term of office for sub-districts 1, 2, and 6 be 2 years, and sub-districts 3, 4, 5, and 7 be 4 years. Is there a second?
Second.
is that roll call? All right. Member Hasanatka,
Yes.
Member Stanton.
Yes.
Member Baxley,
Yes.
Member Langendorf,
Yes.
Member Exum votes yes, Member Pulaski.
Yes.
All right. The next is election of permanent officers, starting with the president. And I'd like to nominate Paul Pulaski for another term as board president.
I'll accept that.
All right. Is there a second?
Well,
Second.
well, thank you.
Any discussion? All right. Member Hasanatka,
Yes.
Member Stanton,
Yes.
Member Baxley,
Yes.
Member Langendorf,
Yes.
Member Exum votes yes, Member Pulaski.
Yes, thank you, guys. I'll take over now.
Yes.
So now we can accept
Thank you.
nominations
5
for
minutes,
people
okay.
willing to serve as vice president of the boards. So if anybody wishes to serve as vice president or wishes to put someone's name out there to serve as vice president, I'd like to hear it.
I nominate Tori.
I'll accept.
Second.
All right. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Thank you for willing to serve, Tori.
Yes.
Now the chair would accept nominations for anybody wishing to serve as secretary of the board. I would like to nominate Sherry Langendorf. If she's willing to take it.
Second. Is that?
Yeah, that's fine.
That's encouraging.
What?
Do you accept it, Sherry?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, that's great. Thank you. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you. So now we're looking for the office of Secretary Pro Tem, which basically is the person who would do the secretary's job if the secretary were not able to make a meeting. Is anybody willing to serve as Secretary Pro Tem? Ben, Robbie, Silali.
I'll do it.
Ben.
Awesome.
I nominate Ben.
You willing to accept? Thank you, Ben. Any further comments or discussion?
We did a second.
Oh, okay. So Silali seconded.
Okay.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, we have a set of officers. Thank you, everybody. Okay. Action item 10.6 is the selection of our board recording secretary, who has traditionally been Lori Johnson. Is there a motion to select our board recording secretary?
I move to keep Lori. What will we do without her?
I would wholeheartedly second that.
gosh.
This is-
I do it.
yeah, typically, the chair doesn't. I'm going to take advantage of my position and second that. Any further comments or discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, 10.7 is establishing our regular meeting time, date, and place. So in the past, we'd have 7:30 meetings, and we made a shift about a year ago to, or was it 2 years ago? To go to, year ago. To go to 6:30.
We'll bring a formal, we usually do that in June. So for this, we just usually say that we meet the first and third Tuesday of the month.
I see.
Yep. We'll bring a calendar every
Okay.
month except July. 6:30, and the place may change depending on if we sell this building.
So I guess the chair would entertain a motion to keep this as the first and third Tuesdays of the month for the rest of the school year at this location and time.
So move.
Second.
Any further comment or discussion? Robbie, you look questioning?
Well, why can't we change it to 7:30 now?
We could if you wanted
could.
to.
No. Because 6:30 is hard, very, very hard for me personally to come here.
Okay.
And then when you add a, special meeting in before at 5:30, I don't know, my attendance rate of that is like 25%. But,
Okay.
you
Would
can do
seven-
whatever you want to.
Well, no, you're a member of the board. You have every right to request a time change, Robbie.
'Cause it seems like we should be able to change it if we're actually voting on keeping it the same.
No, we can. We can.
Yeah, we usually just bring the formal calendar with all the dates in the month of June, but we can talk about it now, that's fine.
No.
Would 7 o'clock be okay for you to make, or 7:30 the kind of like the earliest you could do it?
I could do it really at any time, whatever is decided, but 7:30 would be the preferred time that I would propose. I would like to make a friendly amendment to the motion on the table to change it to 7:30.
Would the mover of the motion and the second for the motion accept the friendly amendment?
What is it?
So you meant there was the motion on the floor was to keep the meeting at 6:30 on the first and third Tuesdays
Right.
of the month, and Robbie's requested a friendly amendment to change that from 6:30 to 7:30. Because he's found, because he has a, because of his work schedule, he finds it hard to get here by 6:30. So would you be willing to accept a friendly amendment?
I would not be interested in 7:30. I personally think I do sympathize with Ravi and his work schedule. I have the same predicament. I'm usually getting here right at 6:30 in many cases. But I think, just kind of looking at the history between the 7:30 and the 6:30 time, the 6:30 times have been much better for our public to get here, for us to have kids show up for different reasons, for us to also get out timely. We have some meetings that go pretty long, and I personally don't like the midnight leaving. And we had a lot more of those really, really late nights at the 7:30 time. So I personally like 6:30. But that is a board decision.
Okay. So the motion currently on the floor is still for a 6:30 because the friendly amendment was not accepted. Is there any further comments or discussion on the current motion?
Can we split the difference?
Well, that would be up to the maker of the motion. If she doesn't accept and you wish to have a 7 o'clock meeting, we'd have to vote this down and have another motion.
Yeah, so I just say that we vote, and if we vote it down, then we can make another motion.
All right. Any further comment on the current motion, which is for 6:30? All right, hearing none.
Okay.
Let's go ahead and do this roll call, please.
Do I have to do it in any order?
So typically it's non-officers first and then officers, but
Okay. Member Staton?
I'm sorry, speak out. This is for like 7 or 6:30?
6:30.
6:30.
Yeah, I second.
So she's saying yes?
She's saying yes.
Yes.
Member Baxley?
No.
Tasnica, I'll vote yes.
Member Hasaneka?
Yes.
You vote for 6:30, I'm voting for 6:30. Member Exton?
Yes.
Member Langendorf, yes. Member Pulaski?
Yes, we have a majority, keeping at least for the rest of this school year, the current dates and time that were published. Now we're going to our study topics. The first up is the food to school and the viewer presentation. Thanks for your patience, folks.
Well, I thought we were going to do did you want to do the wellness one?
Well, I went by the order that's in
Okay.
the agenda.
Okay. Gotcha. Yes.
Good evening. Wow, this is really something special to be able to talk to the new board and be the first presentation before the new board. So welcome, board, and we're really looking forward to working with you. Can you hear me okay? All right. So my name's Tracy Barkley. I'm the director of Sologradi Farm.
My name's Fiona Monroe. I'm the outreach education coordinator for Sologradi Farm and an alumna of Urbana Schools.
I should also mention I've a daughter in the district is a junior. My son graduated last year, and I also have a mentee at King School. I'm really happy now tonight to talk about the farm school program. Believe it or not, we're in our 4th year. We started talking to Carol Baker and some other staff within the district in the fall of 2019. About how we really wanted to help improve nutrition and inform healthy eating choices for school kids throughout the district, especially because we know that 2/3 of the kids are considered low income, and as a result, all schools qualify for the community eligibility provision. So we didn't realize that the next spring COVID would come along, and that's made things a little more complicated. But we've been really encouraged by our partnership with the Champaign-Urbana Public Health District and Urbana Schools. So up on the screen you'll see our leadership team, and who's not here with us tonight, mainly because we had a steering committee meeting this afternoon for Farm to School, is Jennifer Lawton. So she's with Champaign-Urbana Public Health District, and Sheena Segedy, who's our Farm to School coordinator. As I mentioned, we really started this program to help address food insecurity throughout all schools, and from the beginning, equity has been a really important point of this program. We know that there have been farm school components in different age groups at different schools because teachers have been passionate about gardening or healthy eating, but that wasn't able to reach all kids at all schools. So that's something that's been a priority throughout our development of this program. The farm school program really has 3 parts. It's curriculum development, it's gardening, and then it's also helping to improve the dining services and offering a broader palette of healthy choices for the school kids. Next. So since the beginning, we've been funded from from USDA grants, and each year has had a little bit different focus. The first year really was to survey the district, so we ended up putting a survey out and reached almost 500 teachers, administrators, parents, students to help inform what a farm to school program could and should look like throughout the district. And so we have farm to school action plans that we've made available to previous board members, and we will follow up with a link to all the new board members so you have a copy of that. But it's a 5-year action plan that's pretty comprehensive on all the things that really were prioritized as opportunities to build a farm to school program in our community. The steering committee, which met today and meets 4 times a year, is made up of 50 members and represents administrators, teachers, students, staff members, food service personnel, producers, distributors. I think that's it. We really tried to reach all the different parts of what could and should be a farm to school program. In 2021, 2022, we really focused on developing and expanding school gardens, so that there was a school garden available at each of the schools. Some schools already had them and just needed some support or enhancement. Some didn't have one at all, and so now do. The only school that doesn't currently have a garden and is now in the works is Urbana Middle School. Each of the school gardens also has a garden committee that's formed, and this year we were able to hire with stipends, a garden coordinator at each school. We also joined the Wellness Committee in 21-22, and we started our first district-wide throughout the elementary schools activity, which was the first Great Apple Crunch, reaching over 800 students, staff members, and teachers. And this year we were able to more than double our participation in that program. And we also held a logo contest for farm to school logos, which you can see on the screen. So we had a winner from Leal and a winner from the high school, and now we have t-shirts made and tattoos and some other merch that's been for students and fun for students and also for more engagement in the community. In 2022, as I mentioned, we were able to start the garden coordinator position, so that makes sure that there's someone at each school that's taking care of the gardens and making it available for all teachers and students to use for learning opportunities. We also hired a farm school coordinator, which is a part-time position, and she works throughout the district to coordinate a lot of the activities between the high school, the middle school, elementary school kids, and outside partners. We expanded garden programming to all 10 schools. We are currently developing and piloting curriculum kits, which Fiona's going to talk a little bit more about. And we're working on expanding farm to school programming. Our community is rich with opportunities to see lots of different types of food being produced, and we'd like to help work out some of the logistics so that it's easier for kids to have those on-site, tangible, active field trip opportunities. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Fiona.
Yeah, thank you. So as Tracy was saying, this year with our grant, we had the opportunity to choose some staff funding, and we put that towards stipended positions for garden coordinators at all 10 Urbana schools. So that's all the elementary schools, Urbana High School, middle school, and then Gerber as well. So those folks are all at work, and really they were already all at work at those schools. We've just had the opportunity now to a little bit more formalize their positions and recognize their hard work with a stipend, which we're really glad to be able to do. Something that we've been working on since hiring those folks and getting them situated in their schools, it was a garden survey, so we wanted to find out more about what staff and students at each school really wanted to see in their gardens. So we put together a garden survey a little bit earlier this year. We had about 200 respondents across the district, and that we were looking at different types of gardens, pollinator gardens, rainbow gardens, those kinds of things, as well as languages repped in the gardens, and popular plants that folks wanted to see. So we got some really useful feedback on that, and each garden coordinator got a breakdown by their school that hopefully can help inform their work this coming year. Something else that we were working on was supporting the garden coordinators in funding their gardens. It's often very difficult for school gardens to maintain, and so we were really excited that 3 of our schools received Grow More Good grassroots grants for $500 towards program needs. So that includes things like materials for building raised beds, garden tools, seeding supplies, stuff that really helps maintain that programming and get kids out in the garden and doing things. And so that was really exciting development and something we were really glad to support. And we were also really excited to hear that Gerber School, with their March Greenness fundraiser, raised, at this point, I think over $25,000 to put a greenhouse in. So that was super awesome effort by those staff who really, really, really believe in their work, and all of their supporters. We're really grateful and excited to hear about that. You can see there's a QR code here, which is also in The packets, we recently, a couple of the members of the Dr. Williams garden team were featured on CI Living, talking about their garden. Also a very, very dedicated group, doing really awesome things with their garden space. So I really recommend checking that out and hearing what they're working on. So another thing that was a big piece of our funding this year was farm to school curriculum kits. This was a response to teacher interest that we received. There were a lot of folks that were really interested in engaging with farm to school and classroom programming, but didn't have the time or capacity to be building their own curriculum. So this is an attempt to make that a little bit easier and make sure that kids are able to get out into those garden spaces and participate in that learning without creating an extra burden on the teachers. So right now we've been developing kits for pre-K through 5th grade. Had the opportunity to present them to all the teachers in K through 5th on the April 6th Staff Development Day. And we've been working on a piloting process for them throughout sort of the end of this school year. So we started with classroom-based kits. The idea behind these is that they can be easily deployed within the classroom. Fairly simple concepts, very sort of low resource intensity for the teachers. And so we piloted those in April and got some really useful feedback and had some really excited teachers that we were working with. And our next step in this process is to pilot our garden kits. So these are kits that are getting outside into the garden, either using that as a classroom space or actually doing gardening and incorporating lessons that meet curricular standards into that gardening. So we're really excited to see how those go and whether those are useful to both the teachers and the garden coordinators in developing those spaces and getting kids into the school garden. And then in development for next year are some kitchen kits. So we would love to be working on some more nutrition learning and kitchen skills at different grade levels. So we're working on developing those and making those accessible. That's been a little bit more difficult because, as you probably can imagine, there are food safety standards and just safety, physical safety standards that we need to be very aware of. So we are working on that, and we really hope to see those by next school year, which is when, for sure, the classroom and garden kits will be available for checkout by any teacher. So if you can give me the next slide. These are just some examples of two of the farm-to-school classroom kits that we piloted this last month. We have a kindergarten kit, which is based around talking about the people that work on farms and in food packing plants and on cafeteria lines throughout our community and really thinking about how those people support us. And then the 4th grade kit, which gets a little bit into more math concepts, a little bit more higher level education, which is about the world travels of food. So we get kids thinking about food miles and where their food comes from in a relatively simple and easy to understand way. And we've received really good feedback on these kits, so we're really excited to be deploying them next fall. One of the things that we've been working on as well this year, and I think that Jonathan Schmidt also mentioned this when Arbor was presenting, was participating in the Wellness Committee. So Tracy is a member of that, as is Jennifer, who's also on our leadership team. And our goal in working with the Wellness Committee is to support the implementation of the wellness policy with especially local foods and garden activities in mind as ways for kids to improve their nutrition and their exercise. So we're really excited about all the work that's been going on in that committee. It's been really awesome leadership and great effort by the other members, and we're sort of excited to see that going forward. One of the things that we were lucky enough to have happen to support that work is we've developed a partnership with the Humanities Research Institute and College of Education at the U of I to develop a research assistantship for a PhD student in the College of Education to do some research into how wellness policies have been implemented across the state and what have been best practices, especially focusing on snack and meal program improvements, outdoor activities, and culturally responsive wellness strategies. So that person will be starting officially in the fall. We hope to do some kind of preliminary work very soon. We're really excited to work with that person to develop a base of information to help with the Wellness Committee's work as well. And then just a final note on in terms of local foods procurement, our team member Jennifer Lawton, who's a registered dietitian, has been working on a menu audit with the Arbor food menus to kind of note where local foods might most easily be incorporated into those. You wanna say that now? So we try to get out into the community as much as we can. Really want folks to be aware of what we're doing and engage in the ways that they want to. So one of the things that we began doing this year was a seasonal farm to school newsletter, which we're passing around. And we've been lucky to be able to work with USD translators. So I also have it in French and Spanish, which I'll leave on the table back there. We're glad to be able to reach a much wider swath of the student body and parent body that way. We're also around on Facebook and Instagram and on the web, which is where you can find a lot of our materials in much greater detail. So our full action plan is on there, as well as a full rundown of all of our curriculum kits. That's all available at on our website. We also have attended, obviously, some Board of Education meetings and other events throughout the school year, try to reach students and families and administrators. And most recently have been able to be on CI Living on the news to reach out into the community more broadly. The newsletter that you're receiving, the goal of that is really to highlight the work being done by garden coordinators and our farm to school coordinator, and kind of looking forward at some of the awesome work that is going to be happening in the next few months so folks can get engaged. So those have been posted or delivered to each front office at each school so they can be posted or shared with folks working there, and we also share it out digitally whenever it comes out every 3 months or so. And then last year, after we finished our logo contest, we were really excited to get some merch created. So we have temporary tattoos that are always a really big hit at back to school events, and a very limited number of t-shirts out in the world, which look very cute. But unfortunately, we don't have very many of them. So I think there's like a few left that are unclaimed. If that's something that you want, definitely reach out. We would love to see those out in the world on more bodies.
Okay, last but not least, the funding overview. So we've been able to do this because we've secured grants from USDA since the beginning, and our time is probably running out, our eligibility for securing grants. So each year we've alternated between SOLA securing a grant for the farm school program to fund our work, and then also eventually work within the district. Then we'd alternate to public health applying for a grant, back to SOLA. We've just applied for our second turnkey grant under public health, and I'm not sure how eligible we'll be past this because this has been 4 years of developing the foundation of the program. We've done this really slowly and strategically with the idea that this is a program that should last and reach throughout the district and really be available to all students in all disciplines. But we are interested in having this shift so that it's really now under the control of the district. That's why when we hired the farm school coordinator and the garden coordinators, those are USD 116 positions, but funded by money secured by SOLA and public health. So if you look at the screen, we do have some pending grants. One we're waiting on, we'll hear it by the end of June. That's the turnkey grant from USDA. The youth services grant through the city of Urbana, we have, it's pending, and it's pending a vote on city council, but we have been given word that we, what's the right word? I guess have been awarded the grant pending approval by city council. So that's encouraging to us because that funds all 10 of those garden coordinator positions, plus some additional supplies in support of the gardens. And then we also have put together a proposal for a third of the farm to school position by USD 116. So if you look at the number that's actually on the next slide, this unpacks a little bit what the pending proposals are. USDA turnkey grant really would develop more of a middle school program, so the work that Fiona described with the curriculum kits really was focusing on pre-K through 5. Urbana Middle School, we'd like to be focusing on in terms of additional garden development and also curriculum kits that hit 6th, 7th, and 8th and all the different subject matters. We're hopefully we'll hear soon that we got that grant and we can do that work. Youth services would start, I believe, this summer, support those 10 garden coordinator positions, garden supplies, and that takes some of the requests that we've put in front of Katie and the board eventually for supporting part of the farm school coordinator position. So I know that the budget isn't developed yet, but that's a position that we've had at 20 hours this year. It clearly is not enough. There's a lot of work to be done and there's a lot of growth in this program. So what we're interested in is having it be a 30-hour per week position instead of a 20-hour week position, and a third of that funding coming from the school district. So that's what's listed there. Next and final slide, please. Next steps for us are completing to pilot the garden kits and the kitchen kits, and putting together a checkout program so that that's ready for use in the fall by all teachers. Making sure that the gardens are sustainable over the summer. I mean, we've heard this over and over, and that's part of why the garden coordinator positions were created. Is it's hard, it's easy to get a garden started, it's hard to keep it going, and so that's something that we'll be supporting over the summer, and hopefully working with volunteers, neighbors, parents, people that are already engaged in these garden committees to carry through the summer so that they're ready for use in the fall. Again, establishing this wellness policy research assistant position, continuing to work with the wellness committee on food service providers and improvement of implementation of the wellness policy, completing menu audit, and then, as always, securing sustainable funding. So we have work ahead of us. We're really looking forward to working with the new board, both for continuation and support of this program and also sustainable funding so that we can keep going with the services this farm school program has to offer. Thank you.
Thank you. Board members, and any questions, comments? If go ahead, Robbie.
I think this is all a very great program. It's not right in English. This is a great program. It's a great program, and I think my own thoughts is that we should try to keep it going indefinitely. You know, so is the actual, I mean, the ask, I guess, is for this upcoming year, potentially like 40 something minus 17,000, like 17,000 for the upcoming year. There it is.
17,000 would be a third of.
Word on the street is the youth services grant was approved but not officially yet.
Yes.
Right. So it's potentially $17,000 for this upcoming year. But then for the following year, is the plan that we're going to apply, like the district is going to apply for some grants to keep this going, or the district is otherwise funding it 100% the following year?
We haven't made any determination about following years or the current year, or, I mean, FY24. So, yes, there are some grants available. I've been working with the Farm to School Steering Committee to share those to see if we could be eligible to apply for them.
All right, I just asked that because it sounds like the conversation from Tracy was that you're kind of setting the foundation and teeing this all up with the plans that we would then run it in perpetuity.
I think for the longevity and for the health of the program and for it to be done the way the district wants the program to be done, it should be shifted and the ownership should be taken so that it's internalized. What we've tried to do is put together some building blocks that then are able to be just replicated and expanded. So that's where the action plan started. That's why the gardens are in place. That's why the curriculum kits are there. The positions are there. All of those things can be continued. And there's more, obviously there's a lot more that could be added, but those are things that we're hoping we can hand off in a really strong way. And that doesn't mean the SOLA is not going to be involved, but what we'd like, and I can't speak to public health because Jennifer's not here, but what SOLA would like is then to get back into our spot to be the field trip, you know, be where, in fact, that's part of the grant for youth services through the farm, is to make a field trip available to every single 8th grader each year, so that that's an experience that everybody shares. They see that 2 miles from their middle school, this is how food is grown. This is how 50 different vegetables are grown. This is potentially a career path for you. This is potentially a way that you can grow in your own yard and create healthy food for yourself. So I think SOLA is not interested in like pulling out of the farm school program. We would just like to be that community resource then that continues with visiting in the classroom and supporting the gardens and being a field trip place, and also hopefully at some point providing vegetables for either snacks at all the schools or a harvest of the month activity through dining services. There are other things that we could be doing once we're out of the program building position.
That makes sense to me. I just wanted to get that out there so that way everybody knows that is the overall big picture and there's no blindsiding or anything like that in the future.
Well, thanks, Robbie. Any other comments or questions? I just want to make a shout out for the money that was raised at Gerber School. That school is an under talked about gem in this district, and I think that greenhouse is going to yield outsized benefits to that community who sorely needs it. So thank you for partnering with them and helping them get that going. I also want to compliment you on, you came to us years ago and laid out an action plan. You guys just executed on it. You really were very, very successful, and I agree with Robbie. I think we should do everything we can in a tight budget situation to keep this going. But this will be coming for us at a future date for us to discuss. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
The next up is our Wellness Committee Annual Report.
Hi there, everyone. I thought I'd come sit up here with Timothy so that they didn't have to sit alone up at the front of the boardroom. So I'm Katie. I'm the chair of the Wellness Committee, and this is Timothy Klein. They are an Urbana community member, a substitute teacher in the district since 2019, and a prospective elementary educator, hopefully in District 116.
Hello, and thank you for your time.
So tonight we're going to be updating you on the Wellness Committee and the activities that we've undertaken in the last year. So just to give you a little bit of background about how we got here, especially because there are several new board members here. To combat the growing childhood obesity rates in the United States, the wellness policy, was originally adopted in 2006 to comply with the Child Nutrition Reauthorization Act, which required that schools adopt a policy addressing nutrition education, physical activity, and promotion of healthy lifestyles. A more robust version of this policy was adopted in 2015, which specified the creation of the Wellness Committee and its roles and responsibilities. Urbana School District's Wellness Committee last convened in 2015 when they created this policy. And they used the Healthier Generation Model Policy Template and other resources to draft the school wellness policy as it stands today. They also drafted a corresponding implementation plan called what they call the administrative procedures. And unfortunately, this was the last time that the committee was active, and multiple key components of this policy have yet to be implemented. However, an effort was made to re-engage this committee in 2022-2023. And tonight, I'm here to tell you a little bit more about what we accomplished and what we look forward to in the coming years. Oh, is this me or you? Okay. Oh, you don't have to read it. Okay.
So the wellness policy has three main components. The first component is nutrition. Our school district is committed to serving healthy meals to help mitigate childhood obesity, support the development of lifelong healthy eating patterns.
That one, yep, that's right.
And support healthy choices while accommodating cultural food preferences and special dietary needs. Nutrition promotion. Our district will promote healthy food and beverage choices for all students throughout the district and using smarter lunchroom techniques. and nutrition education. Schools will provide nutrition education that follows the Illinois Learning Standards for Health Curriculum. The second component is physical activity. The policy states that children should participate in 60 minutes of physical activity every day. The policy also recommends that physical activity not be withheld as punishment for any reason. The third component is other school wellness initiatives. The intent is to integrate wellness across the entire school setting. All school-sponsored events be encouraged to adhere to the wellness policy and food quality standards, and to expand the school gardens and the farm to school program.
So in addition to these three components that were on the previous slide, one of the core requirements of the policy is the creation of the District Wellness Committee that oversees the implementation and monitoring of this policy. To the extent possible, the committee includes representatives from each school building and reflects the diversity of our community. Currently, membership is represented across all levels, elementary and secondary schools, and includes parents, students, representatives from the school nutrition program. Jonathan's a member of our committee, as we've talked a lot about the wellness committee tonight. PE teachers, health education teachers, health school professionals, including school nurses, mental health and social service staff, school administrators, school board members, and then also it's also extended to other community groups and to the general public. So we have quite a diverse group. I have all of the names listed out on my notes, but I don't intend to read all of them to you. There's probably, I don't know, at least 20 people, if not more, and we're currently recruiting. So if you're still, if you're interested after hearing tonight's presentation, especially parents or students, we would really like to have your voice at the table as we continue our work on the Wellness Committee, so please reach out to me. So this slide is, the next slide is to discuss some of the accomplishments that we've had in the current school year. And it's not a very long list, but I'm really proud of it because this committee hasn't met for 7 years. And so just reconvening, and you know, this is my first year in the district. I had a huge learning curve to get up to speed here, and so then to meet quarterly and get this committee going, and then you know, my husband broke his leg. That was a huge ordeal. So in fact, like, it was the day before one of our meetings. So you know, it's just been a little bit much, but I am proud that we were able to recruit and invite committee members. In fact, several of them are in the audience tonight. Linda Gibbons, Katie Madigan, who else? Raise your hand if I missed you. Jonathan, of course. So we appreciate all of the time. Tracy, sorry, Tracy. And Fiona was for a little bit. So we appreciate all of your time, the people in this room that have gone to, attended these meetings and given your input and facilitated some really collaborative discussions. One of the things that we did right off the bat at our first meeting was try to figure out where do we go from here. So we had, the school wellness policy, of course, was written in 2015, and one of the first things we did was review this policy and start picking it apart and, you know, making a lot of suggestions for changes and suggesting that we might want to bring it to the board to do a revision. And after several other conversations outside of the regular meetings, we kind of decided, you know, we wrote this policy in 2015 and we've never implemented it. So why don't we try to just work on how we're going to implement the policy as written? I mean, that committee was very active. Linda Gibbons was here for that, and they met every 2 weeks until that policy was written. And you know, we want to value the work that that committee put into creating the policy as it stands. So we're currently collecting all of those inputs for future revisions, and we think all of that information is valid, but we also think there's a lot of content in the policy currently as written that we really want to work towards. So that's kind of where we're at with the policy language, and we have a collaborative Google Doc that we're sharing and continuing to share our comments. And there was a lot of questions up front about nutrition standards and why our school meals are the way they are, and Jonathan helped insight on a lot of those requirements for meal patterns in our schools. And one of the requirements of the policy is that all of our wellness policy and triennial assessment are available on our external facing website, which it was not. And so I'm really proud that now on our food service website there is a local wellness policy section. Catherine helped us get that all in place, and I'm really excited we can now say that we're in compliance with that part of the policy this year. And lastly, the board is supposed to have an annual presentation from this committee. So we are here to do that tonight, and so I feel like that was a huge accomplishment as part of the committee's work for this year. That said, I do think Timothy is going to discuss some of the challenges that we're facing and how that might lead to future goals.
In our Wellness Committee meeting discussions, we have reflected on where we're at and how we got here. What we discussed, our observations, is that the district has been falling short of meeting the expectations set forth in the wellness policy. One example is the expectation that each school use the School Health Index, a comprehensive school wellness assessment tool published by the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. We believe it is unrealistic to expect school principals to complete the assessment independently without additional resources, specifically paid staff hours. An example of cultural norms which are in conflict with the policy would be snacks, unhealthy snacks for celebrations and incentives. This happens surprisingly often. Finally, there is a common practice in our district of withholding recess time as punishment for students, which is prohibited by the Illinois Right to Play Every Day Act, with an exception for, quote, when a student's participation in playtime poses an immediate threat to the safety of the students or others, end quote. The law took effect in August 2021, but has yet to be enforced. The school wellness policy was written in 2015, and there's an opportunity for the Wellness Committee to update the policy in the coming year to reflect the 2021 Illinois Right to Play Every Day Act. Enforcement of this provision should be part of a comprehensive school wellness action plan. One of our goals as a committee is to connect teachers with resources to support them in adhering to this policy, including professional development opportunities. According to the current policy, each school principal must designate a person to serve as the school wellness policy coordinator or act in that role themselves. A school-based wellness policy coordinator is critical to the process of bringing our wellness policy into practice. They are the point person to have those conversations with school administrators about the importance of school wellness, lead their school wellness committee in developing an action plan, and produce an annual report on behalf of the school. There are numerous resources available to school wellness coordinators for evaluating and improving the effectiveness of school wellness initiatives, such as the CDC's School Health Index, which is, again, explicitly required in our current district wellness policy. We believe that designating a school wellness coordinator for each school is the next necessary step to help increase accountability and address the challenges referenced in the previous slide. We hope to work with the district to seek grants or other sources of funding to compensate the school wellness coordinators for their time and energy.
Finally, as you can see, we have a lot of growing to do to make this policy a living, breathing document that is embraced by the district. And ultimately, it's about a culture shift. So we would really, some of the goals that we have set for ourselves for the coming year include working with the Wellness Committee to help facilitate the selection process for the new food service vendor for fiscal year 25. Since the contract that we approved tonight cannot be renewed, we will be working on a selection process, and we hope to actively engage the Wellness Committee in facilitating that process. We also hope to infiltrate the school wellness committee down to the building-based level. So it's kind of like a pyramid where the district wellness committee is at the top, but then each building has its own school wellness committee as well that helps at the school level. Ultimately, the committee would like to focus on monitoring compliance and assessing where we are now with compliance so that we know what our baseline is so that we can make future improvements. And we'd really like to see more consistency and continuity across all of the buildings and compliance. Because there are some schools that, you know, there's no treat-based options for celebrations. It's pencils and stickers, and then there's others that it's cupcakes and cookies. So we just want, you know, I think that it's more a matter of an awareness of the policy and making sure that there's buy-in from all levels in the organization of what our goals are. And then lastly, I think Timothy's going to talk a little bit more about action plans. Okay.
Yes. Before, I just want to add on to what you just said.
Thanks.
One of the core components I mentioned at the beginning was nutrition education. And so just informing people about how to take care of themselves through proper nutrition and physical activity habits can help fuel that culture shift that we seek. What
Did you want to talk about action plans? Because that's more of your wheelhouse.
Well, the school health index has like a step-by-step process for drafting an action plan. It should be a collaborative process within school-based committees.
So we hope to learn more about action plans and to implement some in the coming years. That's all we had for you tonight, but we welcome, oh, I do have a little summary here. Did you,
I think we did
were
that.
you going to say this part? That's a good summary.
Ultimately, there is no one right answer. It takes continual assessment, reflection, and reshaping of action plans in order to move towards the outcomes we're seeking in the wellness policy. We believe it is time to renew our commitment to the school community wellness.
Thank you. What questions do you have for us?
Go ahead, Robbie.
Well, first, thank you for that presentation. It seems like the presentation, the first ever of the Wellness Committee, is the first step towards that goal.
No, there was a presentation in 2015.
Oh, yeah, I don't know about
Yeah.
that one, so.
Yeah, I have the slides.
Yeah, so the thing I was going to comment on is, you know, it seems like the focus is on like food choices, nutrition, and physical activity. In my my own profession, you know, when there's a wellness committee in medicine of any field, it is focused really on mental health, burnout, and suicide prevention. So I think that is something that the wellness committee should also talk about. Both from, you know, kids can burn out trying to do too many things. You gotta get all the stuff done, you know, get your college apps, be in 10,000 activities or whatever. And similarly, the teachers and staff could do the same thing, trying to spread themselves so thin, trying to get it all done, you know, so. You have school counselors on the committee, so that's I think the avenue to tap in for the mental health side as well.
Yeah, I agree with that
Yeah.
completely. Yeah.
Our district nurse, Amy Marks, is on the committee, and that was one of the first things that she commented about change that we could make to the policy. The policy, the reason it's so focused on nutrition and physical activity is because it's a requirement that we have this policy as part of the National School Lunch Program. So it's a very food service-based policy requirement, but it's a district policy that we have the ability to adapt and change. And so, yeah, that's definitely something we're considering.
Board members, any other questions or comments? I just want to, before
No,
you.
go ahead. No,
just
I'm
one
glad
more,
you-
I just want to say how excited I am that this committee is going just at the right time when we're looking at the RFP process for the more extended food contract that will be going in subsequent 24 on years. It's exactly what we need to do in order to bring healthier food that our kids are excited about. It's the right thing to do, and thank you so much for laying the groundwork for collaboration across the district on this matter.
And then I want to make a couple comments. I know, Tracy, if you're still here, you guys got up and left before. I wanted to say thank you for all of your hard work, and thanks for giving a shout out to our school coordinators. I know we have several teachers in those spaces who work all day and then find time to work in the school gardens, so thank you for that. I wanted to commend Katie because, as she mentioned, this has kind of been on our back burner with COVID and everything else going on. And in her first year, one of the things I kind of said to her is we need to get the wellness committee, and she was kind of like, oh my gosh, I'm just trying to learn my job. Do you really want me to do that this year? And you have done a phenomenal job, so I just wanted to say thank you. And of course, all the people on the committee, yes. And I appreciate all I was on that committee with Linda Gibbons, oh my gosh, as deputy superintendent and then as a principal at one point, and it was a lot of work.
They worked hard.
And so I understand the amount of time and all the conversations that it takes, so thank you for that and all the committee members. I wanted to thank Timothy for coming and presenting. I do want to address the Right to Play Everyday Act.
Please do.
So the comments about our principals are aware of it, and it is legislation and school codes. So when we find out that there are instances where recess is being taken away from students, Dr. Norton and I respond to those very quickly. So I know there have been a few instances this year that I'm aware of. And when we find out about those, we do go back to the principals and address that. Typically, what we have been hearing is that sometimes it's a class recess, sometimes it might be a lunch recess, that a student is, for whatever reason, whether it's behavior or issues in the classroom, as a punishment, we should not be taking recess away from kids. So we are aware of this act. It is something that we've reviewed with principals. It sounds like Dr. Norton and I need to review that again because Timothy was pretty adamant that this is an area that we need to focus, and I would agree. We have heard from a couple parents this year where we have had instances that it has been brought to our attention. So I do want you to know it's on our radar, and people watching, if it's happening, please let us know so we can address it. So, absolutely. Yeah.
Thank you.
Sure.
Just a question about that punishment of recess. Is it if they have a full hour already and then they have an additional recess time, can you take that away? Or is it any recess time?
Well, our as Katie said in the policy, it is we should not be using removal of recess and play as a punishment. So we have worked with principals to give them other suggestions of things that they could do, other loss of privileges. But recess is no longer a privilege. It used to be a privilege, but now it is a requirement.
Because this is one of those things where there's lots of words on the street that is it real or not. And the other question along those lines of words on the street is, let's say somebody doesn't finish some kind of assignment, and they're like, you have to finish that before you go out on the playground. That, I think, is punishment. But is that punishment? So that's not allowed either.
Well, we're talking specifically about recess, but yes, we can look into that too.
No, for recess.
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
I think Timothy wanted to say something. Did you want to say something? It looked like you had a comment.
There are 5 points of the Right to Play Everyday Act, and I highly encourage you to read the whole thing.
Yep. Dr. Norton, were you going to say something? It looked like.
No, I was just going to agree. You know, taking it away for any reason, so whether it's punishment or taking it away to finish classwork, I mean, that's still serving as they don't get that right to participate. So, yeah, we can't do that.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Timothy.
Thank you.
Okay. And our last study topic tonight is consolidated plan and grant updates. So thanks for all the district administrators who were waiting to this point to deliver this study topic.
Good evening. Congratulations to the new board. We're very excited to be with you tonight, and we're going to share a little bit of information about a consolidated district plan. The consolidated if you want to go ahead, Joe. There we go. The CDP.
I'm sorry, as each speaker comes up, could you make sure you introduce
I
yourselves?
will. And I should introduce myself. Hi, I'm Tanya Deacon. I'm Director of ESSER Grants and Student Engagement. And Mr. Taylor had previously done the CDP, and he's passing the torch on to us now. So we're going to give it a go. Are you ready? The Consolidated District Plan 2019 seems to be a theme tonight as well. That was when it started. At that time, the state was asking us to put together a plan based on data collected from our families through surveys and conversations, meetings within the district, to determine how are we using our grant funds and how do we want to invest in our students' future. We are charged with the responsibility of coordinating each of our grants, a phrase that's now called blending and braiding, to determine how we can most effectively use the monies that we've been awarded over the years. Engagement with stakeholders, as I mentioned a moment ago, looks very different across the different scenes. It can be surveys that are sent out. It can be our meetings that we have throughout the year, whether it's program council 4 times. It can become a part of the discussions that we have here at our board meetings. Go ahead and flip. In the consolidated plan, there are several elements that we have to address. We have to have a summary of the district's needs assessments, which means, again, taking that data we've collected and putting it together. Stakeholder engagement and activities summary. What is it that we're doing with our families? What are the opportunities that are provided? Consultations with our non-public schools in our region. We have to make sure that we are looking out for their financial interests as well and whether they would like to participate in the grants. So we do have to have some consultations with them to be able to determine if they would like to be a part. A common misnomer with that is that they get to choose what it's spent on, but it has to be in line with the philosophies that we share as we work through our grants. We also have to include within the CDP our students' academic, social, emotional, and linguistic development. There are plans to support teachers' professional development. We have to make sure we have programming that supports our students and families. A piece of the grant that was put in a few years ago is the foster care transportation plan, and within that plan we have to determine what happens when a student is moved from the home. We have to work with the other school districts to figure out how we can get them back here to their school of origin. And then something that's new this year is the bilingual service plan, which Guadalupe Proclean will talk about later in our presentation. What is not a part of the consolidated district plan? We have some grants that are state funded as opposed to federal. Some examples are on the slide. And any competitive grants that we've been in. Another grant that wouldn't be up here that is competitive, for instance, would be R3, the grant that we just got 2 more years added on to for funding over at our alternative therapeutic school. Go ahead. Timeline for the consolidated district plan. Every year we have to make sure that we meet with the board, preferably in May, to present the plan. A copy of it was included in the board packet this month. And to take a look at, does it reflect what we're looking for in our district? And we need to make sure that we have that approved prior to July 1, because we cannot start to spend or apply for our other grants until a plan is in place. The next 2 slides just outline for you the different grants that fall within the CDP and outside of the CDP. And each of these folks will be up here in a little bit to share each of their pieces. Thank you. A summary of grant requirements. All grants must have original applications approved by ISB. So each year we complete the grants that we're in charge of to make sure that we are meeting the needs of our students and our staff. Amendments for grants can be requested up to 30 days prior to the end of the grant. A grant could end on June 30th, it could end on August 30th, it could end on September 30th, depending which grant program you're looking at and whether or not you want to be able to continue the timeline for spending. The next bullet has varied a little bit as far as our expenditure reports are still allowed to go in quarterly. We also have some grants at this point that are semi-annual, some that are annual, and some that are still sitting on a quarterly basis. So it's constant reporting to the state to let them know what it is that we are investing locally. Some of our federal grants will allow us to carry over. Title I is one with a lot of experience, but there is a cap. More than 15% should not be carried over into the next year. With COVID the last few years, they've allowed several of the grants to roll forward. So it's been a bit of a, I don't know, a little confusing for some people not knowing exactly which monies are where. But the directors that look over the grants and take care of them, they know that the deadlines are. Summary and grant requirements. We need to use a program. We call it IWAS. This is where we submit all of our information. where we do our reports, where we do our expenditure reports to be able to collect the funds. Project start and end dates are specific by each program. Again, it could vary when it ends. All grants are subject to audit every 2 to 3 years by ISB and annually via our financial audit. And then individual grant coordinators will now come forward to summarize the grants. Some are in transition right now, so we might have some new faces up front. I believe first we had Ms. Beth Ladd, principal at UECS. She'll talk about early childhood block grant preschool for all. Are you bringing friends?
We're all coming together.
Wonderful.
We're a mighty trio. Go ahead.
Hi, Kelly. I'm good. How are you? We've got Kelly Russell.
Hi, everybody.
Katie Madigan, and Beth Ladd.
Good evening. I'm Beth Ladd. I am the principal at Urbana Early Childhood right now, and so we are funded through the Early Childhood Block Grant, or the Preschool for All grant, and this is a very important funding source for us to be able to serve our students who are age 3 through 5 before they enter our kindergarten and our elementary schools. We serve 360 students and have 12 teachers running 24 sessions for students in the morning and the afternoon, and have a variety of related service and supports available in a variety of capacities. What's really important to understand about our grant is almost all of it goes towards people. We're spending the majority of our funds on our personnel and the benefits that go along with employing people, and so very little of our funds are available for supplies and materials. So we do the best we can and are grateful to the supports we get from the district. Another thing to keep in mind is we are hearing all kinds of information about funding of early childhood in this state, and it is a huge priority for Governor Pritzker, and it's really important to be aware of what they're saying when they're talking about these additional funds. And so right now, they have put forth a lot of additional funding into our community-based programs, and none of us in early childhood are going to argue that our community-based programs don't need additional funding for their staff and their students. But what that means is there's not been additional funding allocated to the Preschool for All grant for a few years now, at least since I started, and there won't be additional funds for us at this time for next year. But so we really need to advocate not only for our community-based programs to receive funding, but for our school-based programs to receive additional funding, because what we're receiving is not meeting the needs of our community and our staff and our students right now. And so there's lots of details on this slide about the amount of funding that we have and where it goes, but that's my plea to all of us to continue to be aware of how our funding from the state and federal government is being used, and to advocate for additional funding, not only for our community-based programs, but for all of our students that are in programs for our 3 to 5-year-olds.
Is it right if we ask questions with each group as they go along?
I think that might be
Yeah.
preferred, actually.
Yeah. So Beth, I mean, with these changes to the grant allocation from the state, I mean, is there any loss of service currently at UECS as a result?
Thank you for asking that question, Paul, because yes, there is. Yes. You know, we have done a lot in this district to financially compensate our staff, and I was on the negotiations and I stand by that. But what that means is when we do not receive additional funding from the state, that every time we receive a raise or are asked to pay more for insurance for our staff, that we have less and less to spend in other areas. And so we have had to be very creative. Katie and I have come to the district administration multiple times over my 3 years here to say, what are we going to do to continue to provide the quality services in our program? Urbana Early Childhood School for years and years and years has been known in the state for a very strong, inclusive program that is well-renowned and well-respected, and we're at the point where we've had to cut some staff this year. We've made some very difficult decisions. We've also had to ask Katie and Dr. Ivory Tatum and Dr. Franklin to take some of our costs of staff back at the district. And so next year we may not feel that too significantly. We may feel some impact of that in not being able to provide the same level of support to some of our struggling students in terms of mental health services. And we may feel that district-wide as you all have picked up additional costs for us. But at this time, we're maintaining our classroom staff as it is. We're lucky enough to have 1 teacher and 2 teaching assistants in every classroom. That was a switch that was made several years ago with Todd and Chris Fowles, the previous principal, to add 2 teaching assistants to every classroom. With the students we're receiving and the needs of our students, that is really a must at this point. And so we've maintained our classroom staff for next year. We've reduced some of our additional support staff and have asked the district to pay for some of our additional staff needs.
So just to make it relevant to the board, if you look at this slide, in a lot of spaces where you see point something instead of 1.0, those are areas, so we don't actually have a .75 coach. That person actually does work full-time, and we have a full-time principal. So we don't only pay her for half of her work, the other half of her time is covered by the district. So there are other areas where we have had to split costs, split salaries, and as the new board members don't know this, but years ago, the transportation was grant funded, and year by year, that was one of the first things that the district took on, is we pay and provide all the transportation for.
All of our students are eligible for transportation because the district has decided to continue for that. The other thing to think about is when you look at a program with 360 students and you look at we're spending $7,500 in supplies and materials for a year, a school cannot run with that amount of funding. And our students, we've had to cut a lot of experiences that they may have in the community, that they may have in terms of access to things in the building, because we don't have the funds to pay for it. Our teachers are extremely creative in the ways in which they engage students and seek out materials and supplies, but we are starting to feel the impact of not having enough money to pay for the quality in which our staff and students are used to. And I'm just talking about our 3 through 5 program. We've been hit extremely hard, but our birth to 3 program has been hit even more extensively. And again, we know that the sooner we intervene with our students and families, the more successful they'll be in our schools and in our community later on. And so this is a big deal, and it's a big deal because we are continuing to hear how much funding in this state is going towards early childhood, and that is great news. But you have to be very aware of where that funding is going to make sure that we're continuing to advocate for where that funding isn't going. Because right now it is going to community-based programs that absolutely need to be on par with school districts. They don't have the same financial burden that school districts do in a lot of ways, and so that's why their funding is being increased more significantly. The other way in which funding in the state is being increased is through new programming and new initiatives for early childhood, which no one is going to argue against, but the quality programs that are currently in place, like Urbana Early Childhood, also need to have increased funding. Yes.
So in the fall of 2023 will be 50 years that Urbana School District has had early childhood. And so I think that we've always had a really great reputation, as Beth said, and we want to do everything that we can to try to continue that.
Go ahead, Robbie.
Just to concur with that, I'm Kelly Russell. I'm the program coordinator for CU Early, which is housed at Urbana Early Childhood School, and we've been around for 30 years. So our program is well known throughout the state, providing services to families, birth to 3-year-olds specifically. and we don't have enough money to cover what we need to have covered. So it's very, very challenging. We work through days, and we have to cut back. So it's very, very challenging. So the information that's on that slide is kind of accurate. Most of our money goes towards salaries and benefits, but we've had to cut days to staff, so they're not working the full amount of days that they're supposed to, which directly affects services to children. So it's very, very challenging for us at this point. So we're trying to provide that high quality of services without the funds to be able to do so. But our See You Early program is very committed to providing quality services to children and families. We have 4 home visitors that go into families' homes, 2 of which are Spanish speaking. We are funded to serve 85 families and 95 children, and we're just very excited to be in the early childhood school, working together with Beth and Katie.
The thing to recognize about our See You Early Birth to 3 program, home visiting, you now hear about a lot of home visiting programs in the community, which is great for our community. See You Early has been around for 30 years. They're well known, they're well established, and they're one of the few programs that serves families that are bilingual Spanish speakers. I feel like there was a question brewing over here. Robbie?
Yeah, so I can't remember if it was this middle of this year or the prior year, but when the early childhood program at King had closed, it was listed as a temporary one. But is all this talk of poor funding meaning it's not going to open back up again anytime ever?
Yeah, so our goal is to return to offering full-day pre-K programming to students and families in this community. Our families want a full-day program for a variety of reasons. The temporary close of that, I was here and talked about that a year ago for a variety of reasons, and really came down to safety for our students. When we talked about it being temporary, I think there was some misunderstanding that it would be temporary for a year. It was temporary until time where we felt like we could reapply for that grant, have a solid home in a elementary program, and we're able to staff it. Staffing is a problem everywhere, and so we'll continue to revisit looking at full-day programming and how to make that meaningful for our staff who are in that program, connect it to our current early childhood program, and how to make that work. That will be reconsidered annually, and I think as we think about where the state is going to end up with some of their funding choices, right now they've put out a lot of RFPs. They're hoping to expand a lot of programs. I think what they're going to find is a lot of school districts are not interested in expanding their programs right now because of staffing and space concerns. And so once that money is still there, looking at how the state is going to handle that funding and what they're going to look at is when will we revisit again whether we want to reopen a full-day program. But that is our goal for sure.
Any other comments or questions? Go ahead.
Yeah, I don't have a question, but I want to say hi to my former.
Yay, sit lovely.
I
She used
was
to work with us.
Yeah, I was part of early childhood, and I also received services from See You Early, and I really appreciate all what you do for my kids and for the kids in the community. I know the struggle every day the school, the teachers, and the kids goes in the program. I'm really surprised and impressed all what you do with so many little budgets now that I know the numbers. So I really want to kind of put another effort to the board to consider this program, because I think the work they do in there is important for our kids, but also it's important for our community. So thank you so much for all your job.
So we can't be the only school program that's suffering under this, right? There has to be an association of school district run programs. I just wonder if we as a board could somehow start a lobbying effort through our state representatives to encourage change in Springfield. So we could work with the UEA, the IEA, the IFT. The unions would also probably be on board with encouraging the state to spend more money on school run programs. the future. So I guess that's something we could take on as an action item to at least pass a resolution and talk to neighboring districts, so we can just work with you on a plan of attack for how we could encourage changes in Springfield to help with this.
I'd appreciate that.
That'd be great. Thank you.
I meet regularly with all of the area principals and directors for early childhood programs. Kelly meets regularly with home visiting programs, and you're right, we're not alone. We're all feeling it, and it's unfair when we are pitted against other early childhood programs. We're not wanting to take money away from them, but we are wanting to be able to fund our programs. I think one of the things you hear about early childhood often is what a fun place it is. It's a happy place. We're dealing with 3 to 5 year olds. They're amazing. Our teachers work really hard every day. The behaviors you're seeing in your middle school and your high school kids, we also see at early childhood. And they're just smaller, and we have fewer students in a classroom. But you have to remember, our kids are walking into potentially their first experience outside of their homes. And so there's a lot of work that goes into that. And so our staff just want everybody to recognize how hard they work and what they're doing to help our students be ready for kindergarten. We're having our kindergarten transition meetings. We're excited to send our kids onto the elementary building. But it takes a lot of work to get kids ready to learn in kindergarten. So thank you.
Okay. I have a question regarding other reimbursement that's available for special ed students, and what percentage of the funding do you get from those sources as well?
Great question, Chair. And absolutely, a lot of our funding does come. The IDA, we're required to serve students 3 through 22 who receive special education services. And so Todd does provide a lot of funding for our related services. 3 special ed teachers are funded through IDEA. It used to be that 9 of our teaching assistants were funded through IDEA. Several more have been added to that. Our psychologist, I believe part of my salary does come out of special education funding. A percentage, I'm not sure I can give that to you right now, Sherry. I don't know if Todd knows, but I could work on that for you.
With our Birth to 3 program, we're a standalone. We don't receive any additional funding, and we're not eligible for special ed services.
So in terms of reimbursement, one of the misnomers out there is we get more money if we have more kids that have IEPs through IDA. That is not how the formula works. It is a formula that's based on our total student enrollment for 85% of that funding and 15% based on income. So the money that comes through IDEA is based on some of those demographics. Now there's some specific populations like students who are wards of the state that we do get 100% reimbursement for. But in terms of reimbursement, it's for some specific student groups or students who might be in day treatment programs or something along those lines. I will say our federal funding, I believe, covers about, just broadly, not just special education, maybe 10% of our educational costs, something along those lines. The rest come through state and federal resources. You know, the idea under IDA at the federal level is it would fund 40%. That's this like gold standard. We've never been anywhere close to that in terms of the money that's actually allocated at the federal level.
Anyone else with questions? Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Next, we have Deanne Webster, Director of Family Engagement and Student Support, to talk about Title I and Title IV.
Good evening. Title I is focusing on educating the whole child and making sure that all students receive a quality education and providing funding to do that by connecting community, school, home, etc. together. The 3 essential goals of Title I, the ESSA, Every Student Succeeds Act, is student learning. Every child will make significant academic gains each year. Learning conditions. All districts and schools will receive the resources necessary to create safe, healthy, and supportive learning environments, and evaluating educators, ensuring that we have effective educators that are prepared to create multiple pathways for every child to receive the education that meets their individual needs. Similar to what we just talked about with the early childhood grant, we distribute our funds equally amongst all of the different needs that we have. And we are school-wide, so that means that all of our schools, K through 12, are eligible for Title I funding. And the allocation that each school gets is based on their enrollment. So we do allocate money for instructional materials for all of our schools, salaries and benefits for the 13 instructional coaches throughout our district, salaries and benefits for one of the reading interventionists at the middle school. We have the career and technical teacher at Urbana High School, which connects to the college and career readiness that falls under Title I. Salary and benefits for the kindergarten transition coordinator that works closely with early childhood to ensure that our students are ready to be successful in kindergarten ready. And then our 2 district liaisons, Ms. Janice Mitchell and Lucia Maldonado, their salaries come out of the grant to support the homeschool connection. We provide a variety with Title I funds of educational subscriptions, family engagement events, instructional support for non-public schools, which Ms. Deacon mentioned earlier. We support 2 non-public schools, Montessori and Holy Cross. They are the only 2 schools in our area that accepted the Title I funds, so those are the 2 schools that we work with closely. We've purchased Chromebooks and iPad minis for Urbana High School. Title IV, we roll our Title I funds, our Title IV funds into Title I and do the exact same thing that Title IV is meant to do, is to provide all students with a well-rounded education. So we do use that money for social emotional learning materials, supplemental instructional materials such as PE, health, family and consumer sciences, art, etc. And we purchase supplemental materials for core subject areas. Any questions?
Board members, any questions? So the Chromebook purchases, is that for like a planned like 3 or 4 year lifespan for them, or did we rotate them through that? I guess for you or for John, that'd be.
That's for John.
It's a 4-year cycle, and some of those were for additional Chromebooks for classrooms that students didn't have them on the day sometimes, especially in middle school. All right, it's on to back to me. I'm pinch hitting for Jen Roan here tonight, just to summarize the Title I Part D neglected grant. Here, this is a small but very specific grant for students that live at Cunningham Children's Home to help enhance their educational services. Just as a reminder, that's a residential program with a special ed school attached to it. All students there have IEPs with fairly intensive needs. I'm not going to read all that to you, but this just gives you kind of a flavor on how we use that money on a yearly basis. Part of it is to provide additional extended school year services in the months of June and July for students that attend there. Part of that is to pay our teachers and teaching assistants to do after-school programming. We have a public school liaison that works for Cunningham Children's Home that we reimburse costs for that, and that's for some of our students who live at Cunningham but maybe taking some classes at the middle school, high school, helping to make sure that's a seamless transition for them. There's some money for technology, some money for stipends for our therapeutic crisis intervention, TCI trainers. That is our de-escalation training and crisis intervention training that we do, so it helps pay for those trainers and stipends for those folks. And then additional professional development for staff there to attend conferences and do professional development.
Any questions for Mr. Taylor? Okay. Then next I'd like to introduce Mrs. Yvonne Smith, Director of Professional Development.
Good evening. I am going to explain a couple of slides, but I'm going to give you an overview first before we begin. So the Title 1A School Improvement Grant 1003A is also known as the Ill Empower Grant. The mission of the Ill Empower Grant is to build the capacity of adults and also support continuous improvement of school-wide efforts in order to make sure every student has success. Ill Empower is designed for the specific purpose of helping school personnel implement effective school improvement practices. Starting in 2018, the school report card, each Illinois school received a summative designation. It's a measure of progress in academic and student success. Multiple measures determine which one of the 4 summative designations is appropriate for the school, and it can be found on the school report card. Our 5 designated schools from the 2018 and 2019 designations that received funding this year are Wiley Elementary School, Dr. Williams Elementary School, Urbana Middle School, Thomas Paine Elementary School, and Yankee Ridge Elementary School. So before you, Wiley Elementary School. So each school has a unique theme that they are focusing on, and so I'm going to highlight something that each school has spent their money on. You can see all of the things that they are able to spend their money on. Each school, according to their school improvement plan, is allowed to propose a budget. The budget has to be approved by ISB, Illinois State Board of Education, and then it is also followed up with an ILLAPower consultant that I meet with on a quarterly basis, along with Dr. Norton and the school principals. Wiley Elementary School this year participated in Digging Deeper with Shifting the Balance book study that is based on the science of reading. This was their second year in completing it, and what it did was it not only provided the professional development services from the regional office number 9 through Beth Mears, it also paid the teachers and staff members for being there after school. They were able to collaborate, dig deeper, and also look at some of their instructional practices that need to change in the area of literacy. Dr. Williams Elementary School. Dr. Williams Elementary School used their money to hire a retired literacy interventionist that was on their staff the previous year to work 2 to 3 days to pull students out to specifically work on filling in the gap on literacy. Urbana Middle School. Urbana Middle School used their money because we have shifted to standards reference learning. Urbana Middle School has used their money to pay staff members to meet after school, so it has to be after contractual time, to focus on curriculum alignment, aligning their assessments, looking at standards-based learning, and then also making sure they're looking at the priority standards of not what they used to do, but what they are doing now to change up to according to the standards. This year, Urbana Middle School also was named as a new comprehensive designation school from the 2022 results. The middle school this year has received an additional $15,000 to assist with a planning year. This year, what the middle school is doing is they had to pull their school improvement team members together and also their staff. And what they had to do was look at root cause analysis, look at the data, what is their culture and climate survey telling them, what does the attendance look like, and to make sure that they have a conversation with their staff on what the school improvement plan should look like. The staff was paid to complete a Illinois Quality Framework assessment, and what they had to do was look through several different standards and do a self-assessment on where they thought the middle school is now. Then the principal, Derek Cooper, took all the information along with the school improvement team, and they were able to they are working on an updated school improvement plan, which has to be approved by the Illinois State Board of Education. Starting July 1st, 2023, the grant funds for Urbana Middle School will be $100,000. And then I outlined for you also, because they are on a 4-year designation, the following year will be $65,000, and then the last year of their summative designation status will be $35,000. Note that each school's projected budget has to support their school improvement plan. And Dr. Norton and the team meets with each school on a quarterly basis to make sure they are looking and analyzing the data, using our MAP local assessments, but also using other assessments that may be found in the schools as well. Thomas Paine Elementary School. Thomas Paine Elementary School has spent their money this year on paying staff members to attend the Shifting the Balance Professional Development book study. They also now are currently having job-embedded professional development where Beth Mears from Regional Office number 9 comes in, meets with the grade level teams during the school day, analyzes the data in the area of literacy, but also provides some coaching and modeling side by side on a day-to-day basis. And then last but not least, Yankee Ridge Elementary School. Yankee Ridge Elementary School is also using Beth Mears as a job-embedded coach. And in the fall, they did a book study on shifting the balance, and then now they are doing also the coaching, modeling, analyzing data, and also shifting instructional practices. To date, all of our elementary schools have all had shifting the balance book study, whether they're an ill-empowered school or not. And what I'm going to talk to you about is my title funds, which picks up the other schools that do not have the money from the state. So Title II, teacher quality, the fund grant. Great teachers, principals, and other school leaders matter enormously in all of our schools. So Title II, Part A grant is designed, among other things, to support our effective educators and administrators. We provide funds for K-12 to increase student academic achievement by reducing class size, elevating teacher and principal quality through recruitment, hiring, and retention strategies. So you may be looking at the list and you're probably wondering, how are we supporting people this year? It's listed there for you, but also the things you don't see. We could not fill all of our classrooms this year with certified teachers. So we filled them with long-term subs. The great thing is, each one of our long-term subs that wanted a mentor received a mentor this year. Any professional development that our long-term subs wanted to attend, they got paid to come and attend, including Winter Institute, including after-school department chair meetings, even including coaching on classroom management. Also, we were able to pay also a retired teacher to come and help just support classroom management, discipline, behavior, and follow through on best practices. We are still supporting all of our novice teachers, and this year we expanded to support them 0 to 3 years. So we hope to keep continuing that so that everybody can have that experience they're looking for. Do you have any questions?
Board members, any questions? I have a quick one. So for like the long-term improvement grant like we're having at the middle school, I mean, is there like a process in place to look at the results from that first year on that first $100,000 that was spent, and then use that to inform how we spend the monies in the second and third years? And how's that iterative process work?
You can use our benchmark data. You know, that's some pieces. Now, when you look at our school report cards and look at our district report card, the thing is the metrics have changed with the state. So, for example, even the designations have changed. So what was commendable 2 years ago, that bar is much lower than what it used to be. So it's really tricky when we look at comparing from one year to the next because some of those variables have changed. Assessments, as far as looking at that, this is our second year of utilizing MAP, as you know, with us reporting that to the board. And so it does take some time for that to be ingrained with part of our culture. But that is something that is exciting because we have that K through 12 and we can look at that over time. So we'll have more and more. I don't know if that answers your question, but those are some pieces that we'll have in the future as we go.
I mean, it kind of is. I just wondered if there's an opportunity for us to do mid-course corrections in improvement plans between years of this grant, like a multi-year grant we were getting at the middle school.
What we do advise all of our administrators too is with the school improvement plans, they are working documents. So it's not something as we present those in June. It's not something that they're created and then put away in a drawer and we forget about them. Those should be constant. They're a working document. And so as we get our benchmarks 3 times per year, or for secondary schools, particularly the high school, as we're looking at semester grades, that should be continuously being updated as well. But for our school improvement grants, for those that are designated, you know, they should be looking at those and updating them every month.
And then Urbana Middle School meets with the Illinois consultant monthly. And so Derek Cooper meets with Ill Empower monthly, also meets with Dr. Norton and team on a quarterly basis. So almost every single month, somebody is meeting with the team. And then also the state issues a document which also has allowable and unallowable expenses and things. And so you have to make sure your school improvement plan is aligning to what is allowable and what is not allowable.
Any questions from the board? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mrs. Smith.
Thank you.
Next, we have Mrs. Linda Gibbons, Director of Grant-Based Programs.
Hi, everyone. Yes, I've worked with grants for quite a while. Most of the grants that I've written have been competitive grants for the district. Right now, this year, I have the 21st Century Community Learning Centers grant. It is a federal grant from the Title IV-B legislation. So this grant is overseen by the State Board of Education, so they're really the ones that come in and follow up on what we're doing, but it is federal funds. So right now, we have grants at Leal School, Urbana Middle School, and Urbana High School. We have previously had grants at Dr. Williams and King School, and that funding came to an end last year in June, so June 2022. So we have 2 grants left, the middle school and the high school. It is competitive, but I will say that we have been able to access this funds through continuation grants for quite some time. I think the first grant we wrote was in 2005, and that was for the middle school. And that program was named SPLASH, Students Playing and Learning After School Hours. And so we took that into our elementary buildings, and we called it SPLASH there too. At our high school, they thought SPLASH was a little bit too juvenile, and they wanted to go with 21st CCLC. So when you hear the names of those programs, that is this federal grant, 21st Century Community Learning Centers. So this grant funds before and after school programs, and at some of the buildings it has also funded summer school programs. So this year we only have Leal School having a summer school program because we don't have the funding at Dr. Williams and King. The programs, they really encourage us to do academic programming like tutoring, homework assistance, small group instruction. So that's the main focus, but we also are able to do all kinds of enrichment programs. We offer lots of really fun, engaging activities through STEM, through recreation programs, arts and crafts, and take field trips with our partners, the Park District. And we go up to Anita Purvis, we learn about environmental studies. So the field trips are pretty exciting because a lot of the kids may not have the opportunity to visit some of these places, so we do a lot of field trips. We also offer a light supper before kids go home each night, and we do transportation with first student. For students that really need transportation or live 1.5 miles away from the school. We can offer bus tokens for kids to ride MTD, which we also do. So it's been a good ride with this grant. We have built a pretty outstanding program. All of our staff that work in the program are district staff, and they do this outside of their school day after school. I will say that the funding, we were just notified, the funding will come to an end in June of 2024, so that's next June. And the way they're stating it to me now, it doesn't look like we will receive another grant from the State Board of Education. You know, we've been pretty lucky to have it, I think, as long as we have, and based on our performance, we have continued the funding, but now they're saying it's time for them to move on and fund other school districts. So unfortunately, I think we are looking at losing funding next spring with all of our after-school, before-school programs called SPLASH or 21st CCLC. They really encourage us to try to sustain those programs. It doesn't mean that falls on the shoulders of the school district. They like us to build partnerships, which we have. But it is a lot of money, and it's not something that we necessarily can, you know, provide at this level moving into the future. But I know we will be there will be meetings, and people will be talking about the future of these programs and how we might be able to sustain them. So, you know, you can just see that a lot of our funds are spent on staff salaries and benefits, purchase services. We do pay our partners for some of their programming that they do. We hire people sometimes to come in and do special activities with the students or teach them special, skills that are important for our students. And we do have to do a yearly evaluation on the grant. This is submitted to the State Board of Education each year. Pupil transportation is very expensive, but we feel like it's really important that we do some kind of safe transportation home at 5:30 each night. So anyway, I just want to kind of lay it out there that yes, we will be losing funding with this, but it's not necessarily a school district only issue. That is something that will be discussed in the future. Thank you. Any questions?
Board members, any questions?
Any idea of how many students we're serving through these?
So through our middle school program, we typically have 130 students on a given night. At this time of the year, it gets a little bit slimmer just because kids are involved in track and some of the more springtime activities. But when we start out in the fall, we will have, each night, we'll have 130 kids there, between 100 and 130. We have about 60 right now at Leal, but we could go as high as 75 at Leal. And at the high school, on any given night, we might have 30. So our biggest programs were probably at King and Dr. Williams. And Tanya's picked up, she'll talk about how we've picked up some programming at those two buildings.
Thanks.
Right,
Okay.
okay.
I have
Thank
a
you, Lynn.
question also.
Yes.
Do you have a partnership with the Park District at all for any of these programs?
We do. The Park District has been our partner on all of our grants since the very beginning, 2005. We work really closely with them. They come into every single program on Mondays, and they provide services and staff along with our support staff. So our teachers are in teachers' meetings on Mondays, and so they're not working that night. So the Park District provides a really great service to us. We do pay them for their services. And then the middle school, they come on Wednesdays also. So they have been instrumental. And they're right there with us. I will say, I might as well just put that out there, that I think that they will be instrumental in helping to continue programs if you decide to.
Any other questions, board members? Thank you so much, Linda.
Thanks.
Next, we have Ms. Shauna Scher, Principal of Adult Education.
Good evening. Besides my adult education role, I also oversee the TAOP grant, which stands for Truant Alternative Optional Education Program. And so that's money that the state gives to help pay for our student engagement advocates, and those are the folks in our schools that work with our students on improving their attendance, as well as funding a small portion of our adult education program for our students that are high school aged. So you can see how we spend the money there on the slide. It all goes to staffing. Most of it goes to the district, and some of it goes to the SEAs, and some of it goes to our adult education program, which is the optional education program part of the TAOP grant. This is the third year of a 3-year cycle. So they just released the RFP for the next 3-year cycle, and I am planning to write for that as well. So I will be working on that this month and submitting it by the due date at the end of the month. We have historically gotten this, and the funds for this, they've been about the same every cycle. So I'm hoping that that will continue. I haven't heard anything to believe it won't, but can't guarantee it.
Members, any questions? I have a quick one, Shauna. So are you saying that the money you get from the state is a flat amount in a grant? It's not proportional to the number of students in the program?
Yes, it's, they look at so what they do is when I write the RFP, I'll indicate how many students we can serve, and then they decide how much they want to give us. I have never been able to find a clear, like, you have this many students, proportionally you get this much money. I don't know that it's that clear. Our money has been pretty consistent. This 3-year cycle was a little bit of an increase. I think the last 3-year cycle we got maybe $10,000 or $20,000 less, if I remember correctly. So I'm not exactly sure how they decide how much money each district gets.
Has there been growth in the number of students that particular program serves over the past 3 years?
Yes, we've had a lot of attendance issues. This grant only pays part of the SEA salary and benefits. The district covers the rest of the costs, and because we've had more SEAs than we have in the past, 6 years ago or whatever, 5 or 6 years ago, we are able to serve more students.
Does anyone else have any questions? All right,
I just wanted to add for that
Sure.
they do report, the SEAs do report the number of students, so we keep all of that data, and we do have to report it to the state, so they're able to track our contacts that way as well with students.
Thank you, Shauna.
Thank you. Thank you. Next, we have Mrs. Guadalupe Ricconi, Director of Multilingual Programs. Yeah, I try.
Hello. So I oversee the Title III grants for the district. As you'll see, the Title III grants are supplemental. The purpose of those funds is to provide support to our emergent bilingual students and families. This includes our immigrant students and youth as well. The funding is, helps us to maintain rigor in our curriculum, to provide extra supports, provide professional development, as well as assist not only our teaching staff, but also our administration with additional professional development and trainings as well as work together with Ms. Webster to provide parent engagement opportunities to our families as well. You'll see from the funding breakdown, there are two main components to Title III. One of them is the Language Instruction and Educational Program. The other one is the Immigrant Student Education Program. The one on the left is primarily meant to serve our newcomer students. It is a stipulation within those funds that be used specifically for our newcomer students and families. We went many years not getting this funding, for the past couple years we have gotten it again. The way that is calculated is based on a 3-year cycle of newcomers and of new student arrivals from out of country that come to our district. So for 3 years we met the threshold that is beset in having newcomer students, so we were able to start getting those funds again. One piece on here that was added since Friday, which is technically not a Title III grant, is actually a grant that falls under the COVID relief funds.
Yeah, ESSER.
Under ESSER, is the Elevating Educators Bilingual Educator Credentials. This is, I just submitted it Friday, it is pending approval, but this is funding that we have heard about over a year ago from ISB that was going to be released to districts across Illinois. We were very fortunate to get a good amount of funding to provide educational opportunities and tuition support to our current teachers in obtaining their credentials. Many of our bilingual teachers are on provisional licenses, which gives them 5 years to complete their credentialing process. So this will give them funding to be able to access school in order to get their credentialing. Any questions for me?
Does the ESSER funding, this is probably for Tanya, does that run out next school year, like the middle of the year?
ESSER 2 will run out this year, September 30th, and then
Okay.
ESSER 3 runs out September 30th of next year.
Okay.
Yeah. My particular portion of that grant is only from this past July through June 30th of 2024. So, and it will not renew. It's a one-time opportunity.
Do you want to speak at all to the bilingual service plan?
Oh, I can, yeah. Tanya had mentioned earlier about the new component to the CDP being the bilingual service plan. The component itself is not new. It's something that we have had to do annually. It looks like ISB is trying to embed it into the CDP, which I'm all for not doing things twice. So what the bilingual service plan is, it's an annual report that we do to show to report to ISB how many teachers we have in each site, what type of programs we're offering in each building, and that helps them get a better estimate on their end as far as funding for the district for the future years.
Board members, any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have Mr. Todd Taylor, Assistant Superintendent of Student Services.
All right, I have the next two grants, next two related grants. The Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, that is a application that has two pieces to it. One is a specific preschool grant that's a relatively small grant, as you'll see on there, about $84,000. What we have typically done is fund some of the teaching assistants that Beth Ladd had talked about, and that's what we have done this year, and we plan to do next year. This year it funded 3 teaching assistants. The funding for this small grant has been relatively stable the last several years, and we're not expecting significant changes. John, if you want to advance to the next slide. The other one is the larger flow-through grant that also helps us supplement the education of students with disabilities ages 3 through 22. As you can see, as we've talked about in some of our other grants, the majority of this money goes to funding salaries, and that's for teaching assistants for us. That has funded 36 teaching assistants. I'm going to stay right on there, John, but if you go down to the bottom, there's a little bit of a math error on there. We did not get a $1.258 billion allocation this year. It's a $1.26 million allocation, so sorry about that. Just take that last 310. That would be nice if we got that much. But anyway, it was about $1.26 million this year. A couple other pieces on this, salary and benefits, yes, we also use it for supplemental technology. We know we're a one-to-one district, but there's some students that need something different than a standard Chromebook. They may need a larger Chromebook. They might need an iPad with different apps on it. When those specialized needs come up, we use some of this money to make sure kids have what they need for that. One other creative way we used some money this year was we did do a monthly IEP curriculum writing evening for our staff that we offered to offer them additional time for professional development, to work on IEP curriculum, to work on IEP writing. That was supervised by our special ed administrators and instructional coaches. I think it was very well received by our staff to the point where we actually wrote it into the contract moving forward. So we will continue that in the future. And that is no significant changes projected for this grant. I do anticipate an increase in this grant. This one has gone up $50,000 to $60,000 a year, unlike some other grants. So at least we will get some additional money to help support some of the other needs we have moving forward.
Any questions for Mr. Taylor? All right. Rounding it out, we have our ESSER 2 funding, as mentioned a moment ago. That will wrap up September 30th of this year. As the grant first rolled out, it was $6,262,920. Then last summer, what they asked everyone in the state to do was to rewrite the grant with the balance that was remaining after our June 30th expenditure report. So going into July of this year, we still had $2,927,993 left in the grant that we need to make sure that we have spent by late September. The bulk of what we have balanced there, Katie and I work together quite a bit on these numbers because we're not leaving one penny on the table. And we have our construction projects that are going on in Thomas Paine and the band room. It is not the bulk of those projects, but it is a chunk of what we have left to spend right here. Otherwise, most of the remaining funds from the rewrite last summer are going towards curriculum and training, professional development for staff as we work on new instructional techniques to reach our students. Down at the bottom, there's a list of some of the things that have been purchased over the last few years. We have our symptom screening, we have our airborne transmission. Randy was integral in procuring a lot of that equipment as we came on board. Anything that required physical distancing, cleaning, sanitizing. At one time, we did have a crew of custodians within the grant, but that has been scaled back over time. Katie and I are trying to work together to soften the blow as we transition back to the district for some of the positions and the funding that's within them. Basically, yes, then we just have our curricular equipment that we've been purchasing. That would wrap up ESSER 2, again, September 30th this year. Questions on ESSER 2? All right, ESSER 3, that one needs to be spent by September 30th of 2024. The original amount, $14,469,686. They have a lot of requirements within that grant that we have to allocate funds towards certain expenditures and different percentages to allocate towards state requirements. So they have your local education association and your state education association. So it's 5 different categories that the grant breaks down into. When we look at the state funding, they want to make sure that we are spending at least 20% on our learning renewal. What that is it would be our after-school programs, it would be our summer programs, and it would be the work that we do within our classrooms. But we have to designate within the grant itself, where is that money at? My goal was to meet all of those basic spending requirements this year, because we will have to rewrite for the balance of ESSER 3 as we go into July, once we've filed our June 30th expenditure report. Things that we have been spending the money on, again, have been curriculum materials, some digital upgrades, evidence-based curriculum adoptions, clinical, professional, and student engagement advocates. ESSER grant is paying for some of the SEA salaries, ESSER 3 in particular, the first 2 years. We've got a little balance going as we look to next year and we make transitions. We also have been paying for the nurses, for the technology staff, and so there's been a lot of collaboration on how we are starting to shift those expenses, and again, evaluating what do we need to make sure as we keep moving forward once the funds are gone. Some facility upgrades are also in ESSER 3, and really ESSER 3 had paid for some district technology and network infrastructure as we got started back at that time. I think that's like the big overview. I could talk for hours, you don't need that. But do you have any questions about ESSER 2 or ESSER 3?
Any questions, board?
Okay.
Thank you, Tanya.
So I just wanted to thank everybody on the team that's here tonight and providing information for all of this. It's a lot to take in, especially if it's your first time. But we all work as a team to try to get the job done. I appreciate all the support tonight as we gathered together. Talking about every single grant would be quite the adventure, so it's nice to have the experts here in the room with us. If you ever have any questions, please let us know. The next board meeting is where we're hoping that you will adopt the CDP for the next school year so we can get everything rolling for next year.
All right, thank you very much. Before we tackle our single action item tonight, I'd like to acknowledge Anna Seaman for running our cameras yet again and doing a fantastic job getting us out onto the interwebs. Our single action item tonight is ask for an approval of an emergency contract for the purchase of Urbana High School chiller equipment. Randy, you might give us a quick overview?
Sorry. See, I even do it. Welcome new board members, and usually if you're hearing from me, it's going to cost or need an approval for a large amount of money. This is about the Urbana High School chillers. The staff identified a rattling noise in a high school chiller on the east side of the building that serves the attendance office, gymnasiums, music area, driver's ed spaces, and some special ed rooms as well. This unit was installed in part of the 1987 UHS addition and renovation project. On April 11th, a service technician inspected the chiller and determined that several welds inside the unit had broken and causing the baffles to break loose and shake. It was just determined that emergency replacement was necessary, as the baffles are at risk of detaching and compromising the entire system. We secured a temporary rental chiller while a replacement unit could be procured. Fortunately, a unit happens to be available and in stock that meets our needs. If the purchase of this equipment is not secured, we'll be looking at an additional 6 months to wait for an additional opportunity to purchase a unit. With the equipment acquired, we will work with IGW Architects on bidding the installation of the unit, and we plan on to bring the bid approval for the installation to the Board of Education for the approval in June. Installation will take place shortly after. We recommend the Board of Education approve the contract for emergency purchase of chiller equipment with Yezik & Sons, LLC for $101,750.
I have a couple comments just for background information. Legally, any project that's over $50,000 that's for repairs and maintenance is supposed to be bid out. However, there are some emergency exceptions, such as the timeliness of having a piece of equipment come available that typically would have a long timeline, for example. So there are exceptions built into the law that allow for emergency procurement, and this would be a perfect case of that. However, we're still going to bid out the installation piece because that also will exceed that threshold. So, well, now that we'll have the equipment in hand, we'll work with our architects to do the full bidding process for the install piece of that project. So it's not unusual for us to bring an emergency contract, but there's usually a good reason for it. And I just wanted to let the newer board members know that there's different processes and legal requirements depending on the types of procurement.
Thank you, Katie and Randy. Is there a motion to approve this emergency purchase?
I move for approval.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further comments or questions? I have a quick one. Is this coming out of working cash or is this coming out of O&M?
Working cash,
Okay.
which is getting pretty tight.
Yeah, I was worried about that.
Yeah, we're working with the city. They're supposed to be also approving our ARPA grant coming up, I think, next week, or the 15th. Hopefully, and then we can apply for reimbursement for the improvements that we made at the Comcast Domino's site to the Tiger Academy and Adult Ed. And so that was $518,000, or $512, excuse me. And that would go back towards where we spent that out of our working cash, so to reimburse those expenses so that we can move forward with other needs within the district.
Yeah. All right. Any other comments or questions? Roll call, please, Sherry.
I'll start with you. Member Hasanaka.
Yes.
Member Staton.
Yes.
Member Baxley.
Yes.
Secretary Langendorf, yes. Vice President.
Yes.
And President Klosky.
Yes, motion passes. There is. Yeah.
I'm not as nervous this time. I think I can pronounce my own name.
Is there a call? So there is no call for any future special or executive meetings. Superintendent's report.
Okay, so just a few highlights. I'll go quickly. I know the hour is late. We have just a few photos tonight. You've heard a couple comments about the UHS band room expansion, so I don't know if board members, especially our new board members, realize that there is actually construction happening back there behind the existing band room and right there by the track. So these are just a few pictures that Catherine took this week, and we will try to make sure that you are kind of kept up to speed on how the project is going. The plan is that this would be open for use and dedicated in August. So next Wednesday is the second. I'm saying the second annual because I anticipate we'll be doing this every year. If Kenita Faye has anything to say about it, mayoral recognition program and the Student Success Resource Fair. So next Wednesday, board members all have invitations at your seats with this colorful card here representing photos from last year. This, of course, is the volunteer program that was started last year for our youth at the high school to acknowledge the service and all of the volunteer hours that our young people are putting forward in the community. So they will be recognized by levels of beginning level certificates and high level gold standard. We do have a keynote speaker this year, Dr. Christopher Spann, who is the Vice Provost from the University of Illinois over pre-K-12 initiatives, is going to come and share some words of wisdom with us. The program is also going to incorporate this year a resource fair. And if you see Amari Johnson down there in the corner, if you remember her HBCU fair, several of the organizers thought that was a great opportunity to bring resources to our students. We are also inviting the incoming 8th graders so then they can come over again and experience some of our clubs, organizations, Sports, our wonderful music program, Habitat for Humanity. So there are going to be a lot of people in those spaces to welcome not only the community, because we're inviting a lot of our partners, but also our rising ninth graders will get to see this is what it means when I get to be in high school next year. This week, we, of course, like to recognize whenever we have an opportunity, national days of recognition. So yesterday was National School Principals Day. We celebrated our principals in October with the Illinois Recognition for Principals Appreciation Week. But this is a national day of appreciation. And then today is National Teachers Day. If you read our update from last week, or the update, I did share that we are actually celebrating National Teacher Appreciation Week next week with events and special prizes and just raffles and just ways that we want to acknowledge all of the hard work that our teachers and staff do all year, not just in the month of May. So hopefully, if you are a parent or you work closely with a teacher or staff member, you're already thinking of creative ways that you can thank a teacher or a staff member next week during Teacher Appreciation Week. The UHS meet and greet has been set Monday, May 8th at the UHS Commons from 4:30 to 6:30. We already welcome to the district Mr. Guzman, Ms. Hines, and Ms. Kearns, who will be joining the current and returning admin team of Mr. Waller and Ms. Rinkenberger. So the entire team will be available, and they just want to welcome all UHS stakeholders, parents, students, staff there at 4:30. We have just been told today that as we were kind of anticipating that we were going to be approving the contract for Quest this evening, we'd already reached out to them to have them come and do a little show and tell at the meet and greet, so our students can see for the first time who the new food service provider will be next year, and they may have an opportunity to experience some of the Quest food, and parents will be able to do that as well. So come on out. Meet our new principal and enjoy some of the new delicious items that we're going to sample from Quest. Next, we just found out about this week, the CU Optimist Club Children's Challenge Awards. The CU Optimist Club offers 6 opportunities every year to honor elementary students with community awards, and this year all 6 awards were students from Urbana. So 5 from Dr. Williams and 1 from Leo. So you can see the different areas: art, community service, fellowship, humanity, courage, and science. And these are the young people who were acknowledged and awarded: Kawan, Jameer, Iva, Veronica, Emmanuel, and Madison. So congratulations to all of those elementary students from Dr. Williams and Leo. The oratorical contest. One of our students tonight is studying for AP exams, and our other student is actually involved in an event at his church. He's on a selection committee, so he's not here. So Michael, we again want to recognize his efforts as a orator. He goes all over the state and the country, basically, as a speaker, and he won another $1,500 representing the district in an oratorical contest this past weekend. So congratulations, Michael. UMS track. So I'm sad Laura's not here to see this, but her son is down there at the bottom. The 8th grade boys track team took 3rd place, and the 8th grade girls track team took 5th place overall at the Mount Zion Invitational this past weekend. And so at the bottom, Arlen, I'll mention his first because he broke 2 UMS records in the 1,600 meters and the 800 meters. So congrats to Arlen. Yes, and those were, yes, thank you, Paul, for reminding me of that. And those were both records that that had been set previously by our high school runner, Jackson Gilbert. So congrats to Arlen. So Marley Yao placed 2nd. Chloe McCoy, Javon Jude also placed 2nd and 3rd in additional events. So the UMS track team is just rolling along. So congratulations to all of those young people. Just today, we announced the CU Schools Foundation Shining Stars. So as you may know, Kelly Hill will mention this again when she returns, the executive director on opening day. But every year we honor and recognize teachers from both school districts. These are peer-nominated awards. So teachers are nominated by their peers for exemplary service, extra effort, enthusiastic attitude, innovative ideas, and just going above and beyond to benefit their students. So on the left is Jackie Martin, a veteran teacher from Thomas Paine who teaches 4th grade. She is very hands-on at Thomas Paine and is very well deserving for her to be recognized by her colleagues. And a fairly new teacher at UHS, special education teacher Madison Ross, are both our star teacher shining stars this year. So congratulations to both of them. They will be recognized in a ceremony very briefly because Dr. Boozer and I are running from like 3 different things tomorrow. We have the CU 1-to-1 Senior Mentor Banquet and 2 other events. So we're going to pop in at Riggs and congratulate Jackie Martin and Madison Ross. And we also are going to recognize on the next slide some of our CUSF Superstar staff, support staff members. So this is a newer award that we're recognizing more support staff through the CUSF. So Roxana Cowan is a bilingual teaching assistant at DPW. Jane Liao is a multilingual teaching assistant at UMS. Jerry Moreland is a student relations supervisor at UHS who's been in the district for years and years. Kathy Stein, teacher's assistant at Gerber, who is also working on her certification to be a teacher. So she's also amazing. Donardo Williams, student engagement advocate at Thomas Paine. And everybody knows Mr. Young, Billy Young, custodian at UMS. So congratulations to our support staff superstars as well. The district, it was Arbor Day this past weekend, and we definitely wanted to highlight this because we often hear from our well-meaning community members when unfortunately we have construction or there are incidents in the community or in around our schools where we have to remove a tree for whatever reason. We wanted to make sure that the Urbana community realized that we celebrated Arbor Day this year by planting 21 trees as part of the Earth Day celebration. So students at Dr. Williams were heavily involved and came out. You can see some pictures there, and they really participated in that process. There were 5 trees planted at Yankee Ridge, 6 at Early Childhood, 9 at DPW, and 1 at King. And then you can see a list of the trees that were planted. And there was one tree in particular that was planted in honor of a former Yankee Ridge student. Randy, do you want to say anything else about that?
I just want to speak about the Dr. Preston William tree planting.
Yeah.
I talked to Tyler, the assistant director, about an event we did at the Park District a few years ago where we went through and set up trees in different stages of planting and then had the kids come out and see each tree and that. So we had the hole dug, the tree set by it. We had a hole dug with the tree in the hole, filled about halfway with dirt. We had one that was completely full. We had one that was being watered and another one that we were putting the mulch on. So the kids came out and saw the whole process, and I wasn't there to be a part of it, but I guess I had a lot of interesting questions. So,
Good. So
it was a
an
really good event.
educational component as well.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
very
we
good.
worked with Brian Lake on that, and he was a big help, and
Yeah.
he's going to help us take care of the trees.
Yep, and he's the instructional coach there and also a farm-to-school coordinator at Dr. Williams. So thank you, Randy. So we just wanted to highlight that. Normally we don't talk about all the things that our grounds guys are doing, but we thought this was a great way to show how we are giving back to the community for Earth Day this year. And then lastly, several events coming up. As everyone knows, this is a very, very busy time of the year for all of us. Board members, you are all invited. Lori will be reminding you of some of these upcoming events, things like the adult education graduation at the Cobb Auditorium on the 25th at 6, and of course UHS commencement at State Farm Center on the 26th. 8th grade promotion at UMS is another opportunity for board members to come. You don't have to say anything or do anything. You just get to be present for the ceremony. And then other events. I think at your table you also have an invitation to the district retirement dinner, which is on May 23rd at Urbana Country Club. And then I wanted to highlight, of course, the event this Friday. It's not really an event, it's more of a recognition. So as we mentioned earlier, the UHS Wind Symphony, we talked about how this is kind of like a state, the symphony version of going to state. They're going to be at Cranard at 3:30. Mr. Hicks is inviting anyone who wants to come and wear your black and orange and represent Urbana. They would appreciate it. And they were invited to this, and it's the first time they've been invited, I believe, since 2012. So that is a pretty big deal. So those are the...
Say, Jennifer?
Yes.
I think the commencement and 8th grade promotions are on Thursday, the 25th.
Oh, sorry about that. Yep, you are absolutely right. Those are the dates from last year. So we will change that before we send it out in the board update. So yes. So 8th grade in the morning and UHS commencement at night. So push those two all back a date. Adult ed is on the 24th. It was correct in the weekly update, so we'll make sure it gets changed on here.
So the retirement dinner is then,
The retirement dinner is the 23rd.
okay, Tuesday the 23rd?
Tuesday the 23rd, yes. Okay, that is it for me.
All right.
Thank you, Todd and Kim.
Does anyone have any board reports to get tonight? Hearing,
I do hope you were going to remind any public people to stop by and pick up an application for Sub-District 4 if you...
absolutely, that's one of the first, yeah, you're correct. The applications are open. The district website has a link to the form to fill out, and you can also drop by the district offices here at the Burkholder Center to apply for, and I guess probably at our next meeting, we could discuss a timeline for when to screen the applicants and close applications, and then move on to interviewing and selecting our 7th board member. What, Sherry?
Do we have a map that indicates the street names of the boundaries of that district?
So the district website has a link to that as well.
But
So
it has
not with the street
map, but not
names.
with the
No, not the
names.
street names, but there's
Yeah.
a link to the map.
It's very difficult to figure out what the boundaries are.
Yes. So
Yeah.
one thing that we were going to do, well, I think what we had talked about is putting like a boundary, so like saying north of this is these streets and kind of
But-
how it's bounded.
It's a lot more difficult with the current one because
Oh, yeah.
squared off. The new ones, individual block made it better or worse.
It's going to do it
It got
after.
moved to a different district, so it's like individual, like, it would be a page long of kind of nonsense, like cutting
Well, we
around the
do,
streets.
I've had several questions about that, people trying to figure out, so we probably should
I can
add a
look
little
at if
more
we
of a
can do something
description.
better with a map, but I
Well,
think a
it-
map would be better than,
Would it be possible for us to have a form where you put in an address and it would pop up what sub-district it maps to?
We have
let, I can, I don't know how long it's gonna take. Let me check and I'll get back to you.
Okay, thanks. Any other board reports? So I didn't know whether we were going to do that during session or after session, but yes, it's okay.
It's a special one, because it's my nickel birthday. 55.
So happy birthday, Jennifer.
Thank you.
It's a little gift from us.
That's from the board.
Thank you.
All right. I think that concludes business. The chair will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. We're done for tonight.